you put a stamp on there. Oh, should I get the mailman and let him deliver it to me since you already paid it?
Okay, are we live? Are we recording? Are we good
We
to
are
go?
recording, we are live,
We have video, we have everything?
we have video, we have just us, nobody's online right now.
Okay. I make a motion to call this meeting to order.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Hi.
Trustee Lickett.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, does any board member, well, first of all, let me just make just say there's a few adjustments to the agenda this evening. We have removed the GPI contract. There's still some questions about pricing on that, and we also removed agenda item number 4, the green infrastructure RFP, because I think people need to have some more information, and so we're going to just take that off. So it's probably good news because we're on our 3rd meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that being said, with the remaining items on the agenda this evening, is there any board member that has a conflict of interest or anything to disclose?
I do not.
Ooh, we had it in stereo, that was great. That was like Dolby, okay. Lisa?
No.
Okay, and I do not. Okay, first up, Eagle Scout Project. Welcome.
Thank you guys for having me. My name is Mark O'Hell. I'm a Boy Scout in Little Troop 341, and I'm here to talk to you about my EBIT project. I have some handouts for you, actually. First one is a little PowerPoint, just going over like what the project looks like, where it is and all that stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And the second one here is a little piece of the Eagle Scout project workbook. This is more of the nitty-gritty details of all of it, all the other extra stuff.
Yep. Thanks.
Also in the front of it also has like this, like just basically what a project, the requirements a project needs to pass in order to be considered an Eagle project. All that stuff, but to start, I would say the inspiration for my project came when I noticed, I love going out, like going for runs and walks and bike rides on the canal trail. And I noticed there's a couple of signs that were made, I think like 7 years ago, from students from Allen's Creek. They just have like some really neat facts about a couple butterflies that are live locally in the area, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But I noticed that like hasn't been anything done to the area since then. And I was like, oh, this would be a really cool project to do something with. After I did some further research in the area, a lot of the first like 3 signs going from like left to right, there's a lot of larger debris, a lot of big dirt mounds in like a ditch area, and I decided it would be too much. It would be a lot of work to get all that cleared, and just being one scout, and even with a group of other scouts, it would take too much time and resources. So we've narrowed it down to the 4th spot. If you look on the PowerPoint, page 3. There's a lot less to worry about there, a lot less obstacles. And it's got more open area next to the parking lot. And then the next slide basically just goes over the obstacles and stuff, and then the advantages of site number 4. Let's see what that is. And then it's right next to the couple of the buildings there, I believe the village or the townhouse.
Village DPW.
Yeah, that's right.
Department of Public Works, yeah.
And then I think the canal trail, there's a trail that goes off just behind that there. I feel like that'll be pretty, nice, kind of like leads off into it, but garden hopefully do that. As for getting like approvals and stuff, I've contacted the Canal Corporation, because I know it's like there's like a little bit of that area there that's owned by them.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
This area. Actually.
Yeah.
This way.
It's theirs, yeah.
some of it kind of like overlaps, so I've talked to them, I'm getting they've asked for like some more, detailed layouts of how everything looks there, like what I'm actually gonna, like where I'm gonna do it. Page number 4, I believe in 5, I don't know, number 5, it just shows you like the space of where the fill sign is, and then 6 it shows a much more detailed. The dotted line shows where exactly we want to build the garden. The biggest obstacle was the tree, the big tree, which we don't plan on moving. We'll just keep it there because it's just one tree. And then there are a few large stones in front of it, which we will probably need to move. Hopefully, if the town or the village would be willing to get something in to move that, or something like that, that would be.
Could they be incorporated into your design if they can't be moved?
If they can't be moved, we were thinking, we can just cover them up, with some, you're gonna layer over it with some dirt, and then layer,
Well, stones occur in nature, so butterflies like to sit on stones.
Yeah, no, we have figured out, if they can't be moved, we've got other alternatives.
And then the tree that you're saving, this is the eastern redbud?
Yeah,
That's great, because that's a native tree.
Yeah, we weren't sure, we looked it up, it said it was introduced, but it was like.
It's a native, it's an early pollinator, yeah.
Next page shows kind of some of the plants the flowers that we were looking to plant. A lot of them, most of them, they all bloom in the same amount, period of time between the spring and the fall, which is, when the pollinators and the butterflies will be more active and, doing their thing. As for contacting who to get, we've looked at a few options. We were thinking Wayside, and then the village, the garden club as well, because I know they've got some good stuff.
Pittsburgh Garden Club.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, great.
And then we know someone in our troop that is the garden master up in Ontario County, who's got all sorts of connections and some flowers of his own as well that we could get to us. And then the next page just shows it's kind of a profile view of scaling up how the smaller flowers in the front and then it gets bigger and bigger. And then the last page, this is all the stuff that we would need. Well, we don't need necessarily, but it would be convenient if we could get some of these things removal of any extra debris that we clean up in the first couple stages of the project, and then exterior water spigot from the DPW building if that's possible, just making the watering the plants easier. And then just an area to dump mulch as well. I believe in the parking lot or right next to it, just so we can transport mulch and soil around, makes it easier to do that. And then obviously I mentioned moving of the rocks if that's possible. And then the post-project watering of plants, someone could come around every day for a few weeks after the project, just to make sure that the plants are well watered. Yeah. I mean, none of these things are needed for the project to go. It would just make things more convenient for the overall project. In terms, all of the other supplies tools and stuff, we can have volunteers. Volunteers will bring all that, so we don't need anything like that. Fundraising, we've got let's see. We'll be requesting donations from different plant vendors if they have any extras or leftovers that they don't need. I'm also doing can drives and stuff, and we've figured out some good fundraisers, because nothing is free anymore in this world. So, but yeah, then hoping that we'll be able to get started with it in either the end of May or beginning of June, and then hopefully be done with it by October at the latest. I don't think it will take that long, but we'll just have to see how things go. A lot of this is still, it's still not set in stone yet, so things can change. That's most of what I've got. Is there any questions you guys have for me?
First of all, I want to say great project, great presentation. We're very, very excited that you're going to be helping beautify our village in that way. Along with the mayor, I would like to see the rocks there kind of incorporated into your plan. It's just, they're beautiful. Rocks are beautiful. People bring rocks in for gardens, so I would like to see that. You had talked about fundraising, so you're planning on purchasing all the plants that are going to be planted? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. As far as donations, you had mentioned a couple great organizations. There's some other organizations like the Pittsford Rotary who might be able to give you some money for plants, for purchasing plants. So look at some of the other organizations in our community that might really be willing to support you, because I think you probably can get some money from them too.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. if you-
I was gonna mention, another kind of driving factor for this was I thought it would also be really good supporting for the village's pollinator corridor initiative going on. I thought it would be really nice to, it would be a good booster, I guess.
Very much, yeah, very much so.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to echo Trustee Cove's sentiments. Good presentation, and the project idea sounds good as well. Just to clarify, you said, are we talking about site 3 or site 4?
Site 4.
Site 4 we're going to do, okay. Now, just so everybody is clear, that's not village property.
Right.
Right.
It's Canal Corp.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's talking
Just
about
wanna make
Canal
sure.
Corp. Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as, I imagine that there are some things that we can approve and some things that we can't. Even that DPW parking lot is not village property.
All
And I've got a map up here if you want to look at it, but just wanted to let our attorney know that whatever we approve is going to have to be in our jurisdiction as a
Yep.
village to approve something that's not on our property.
It would be pending the Canal Corp approval, really, is where this would go. But the Canal Corporation really has sort of revised a lot of their policies of corridors along the canal in terms of wanting them to be pollinator corridors. So I'm thinking it could be a nice match with, what the Canal Corp's interested in as well. So, yeah, did you have any comments on it?
just
Are you
pass that
finished?
map down?
Yeah, sure. I was going to talk about this a little bit later too, but you can see all 4 of the sites, I believe, would be on Canal Corp property. Or at the very least, all of them are not on village property, and I think most are on Canal Corp.
Maybe we could give him our contact information that we have from Canal Corp.
Sure.
He has that already. I had a
Yeah.
preliminary meeting with him, so he could come in,
Good.
so he has the information. I know you've been reaching out, so, which is great. And you had another comment? Or?
No.
Okay.
So since it's on our property, do we even need to do anything as far as making a motion for approval? I mean, it's not really else to approve, correct?
Is he going to be using village property at all, a stage or anything?
Yeah, you will for staging, so, some of it. Yeah,
If he's going to, be going across our property or
Yeah.
using our property.
entering
stage.
and going, yep. He would
Can't
be.
hurt, right?
He will be getting an assist from the DPW.
Yeah, DPW's gonna
Oh, do the water.
give a hand, help him out,
Yeah,
spigot at the building, all that kind of stuff. I do want to say just a couple of things. Really great presentation, really nicely done. I noticed that, you have a lot of pollinators here, and some of them are natives, and I'm wondering if you could maybe take a look at this. Typically, it'd be nice to see a ratio that's a little higher with natives that are pollinators, and I can talk with you about that if you
Oh,
like,
yeah.
offline. Yeah. But it is going to be beautiful, it's really going to be nice, so, yeah, thank you. Yep.
I'd like to remind the board.
Name and address, please.
Robert Corby, 7 Washington Avenue.
Mhm.
I'd like to remind the board that if you're discussing a topic and you have information, you should share that with the audience. This information wasn't included in the packet, and I would request that you comply with open meeting standards and provide that information so we in the audience can follow along. It sounds like a terrific project, but what are the locations that are being proposed? And
Yeah, you came in late, I think, when he started his presentation, so it's going to be where the butterfly signs went in when the Allen's Creek kids did the signs when you were mayor. And so,
Did you want to see this?
yeah, you can just
Yeah, no, it
see.
sounds like a wonderful.
Yeah, so he's just saying, the signs were put in, but there's no pollinate, things for butterflies. So, he thought that'd be kind of nice to put in that type of a garden. So I think it's kind of nice because the signs have been there. So I think the butterflies are seeing the signs and they don't know where the plants are.
So Bob, to your request, you're saying that you would have liked to seen that exact packet presented. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Dorothea can comment on that.
Yeah.
I can only provide what I have. I did not receive any materials prior for the packet. I was given the agenda item.
Yeah, so if we don't receive it, we can't
I
post
can't
it.
post it.
Yeah, so
So
we
it's
didn't
not-
receive anything.
Intentional, I just didn't have it.
Yeah.
There was no omission. Yep.
So this is just an open-ended question. I don't know the answers to these things. But in meetings past, sometimes it's felt from an outsider's perspective looking in on the board. We haven't talked about anything in closed sessions or in the public since I've been on this board. There's a bigger path forward that we're moving toward, both with the Arboretum as well, considerations for the DPW. I've heard the building has a long-term capital plan that we have to explore and discuss. And I don't know what this implies for that particular lot usage, design, structure, or if by moving forward with a project like this, which I think looks really wonderful, the question is how does that location, if at all, interject itself on any subsequent plans that the village might have in doing the same thing that this applicant is doing, which is requesting certain permissions of the Canal Corp. So having not done long-term planning for the Arboretum in the full capacity that I think we've hoped in years past, and maybe we're moving forward with that already, and I just don't know these things because we haven't done them yet. My question is, as I look at this lot, that's down just on the meeting, it's just this question of, what is the master plan for that full property in scale? There was some discussion of hiring a consultant to create a single plan for the entirety of the area versus a small part of it. So these are the things I don't know that I just want to put to the floor.
Sure. We're sort of talking, we have a scout here trying to talk about a project, and I hear really where you're going with
But
this.
it's within the larger context.
Sure, I
don't know.
understand that. I do understand that. It's actually right on the canal path, so anything we would do would not incorporate the canal path. That's Canal Corporation's. I mean, this piece of land that you're looking at, how large is the piece?
Let me go back, I think I had it in.
Here it is. So you're looking at about 40 feet
Mhm.
along the canal path.
How many feet off the canal path? What page are we?
Because they own it. What does the Canal Corp own, that jurisdiction that they have, Zach?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Off the canal path, coming off the canal path, what's the,
They actually own
well, they actually own it.
a defined
Yeah.
area that's meets and bounds driven.
So it's,
What's that picture
is
there?
it 20 feet in? It looks like it's 20 feet.
It varies.
Yeah, it does vary, you're right.
There's a big chunk that
Yeah.
includes part of the DPW.
Yeah. And then as you go down the path, it sort of goes more towards, like, what's the wetland and the wooded area.
Drawn there.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Could I bring up just one simple consideration that, and I fully endorse, this is a wonderful project, and speaking as president of the Friends of the Arboretum, this goes right along with our goal to be the pollinator center of the village of Pittsburgh. However, in looking at a trail master plan for the Arboretum, there's a wonderful opportunity to construct a trail that would go west of the berm, and we've looked at where the property lines are, west of the berm that protects the DPW yard, and would connect the center of the Arboretum with the towpath trail. So it would make sense to just leave a slot available for that trail to be constructed in the future. and when you locate the beds of your property.
This garden would be here.
Okay.
Yeah, if I might respond to that, I did speak with Bob Corby about this earlier, and my understanding is that this location of the garden would be okay. I did consider that. This is further east, closer to the DPW building, whereas if we did look at some kind of a
Trails
trail,
further down,
it would
yeah,
be
that you would
this strip
propose.
here, right?
Yeah.
So just in case
Zach,
everybody is on the
Can
same
you
page.
take, yeah, that's right, Zach, right, because you guys have looked at that potential trail.
Yeah, so the potential trail would be on
Yes,
the
let's go down.
westernmost.
Yeah.
Sorry, so I should have made a bigger,
Yeah.
yeah, come on up. So you're looking, here's the DPW building. I don't, you're looking around here, this dark green. Actually, this whole slashed area is Canal Corp property, right? So even our parking lot, we built incorrectly on their property. But you're looking around here, I think, or something like that.
Yep.
And we're looking at a possible trail up here to the Arboretum, so we're all clear.
Yeah, no, I should.
So it wouldn't impinge?
Right.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach, sure.
Yeah, I believe the area that they're looking to do this project on is an area in which, on the map that we had discussed, was going to be activated as pollinators, gardens areas anyway. So if we were to get that from the Canal Corp and rights to it, that was the intent behind it anyway.
So this kind of jumpstarts it.
Would it be possible then, instead of tasking Marco, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the permissions to do this on that property, what if the village were, on behalf of larger, longer-term plans, request permission on the aggregate use of the entire area?
That is one thing that actually, we're in touch with Canal Corp about just that.
Yeah.
That came up several meetings ago, and, Jeff could even speak to that. We looked at the boundaries and just said, let's see if we can get at least a long-term lease, not a permit, but a lease.
Right.
So that's something that we're already, it's in the works, but it's Canal Corp.
And there's a history, too, of some Canal Corp land, in fact, being sold.
Yes, there is.
Bob Michaels had
Yeah.
purchased a small sliver of canal property behind his buildings there on the canal side near the library. And essentially, it may be one where we can simply purchase, or to your point, get a long-term lease.
Depending, yeah. I mean, I think we're looking at all the options, and that's what will be coming back to the board when they would give us a response. We can vet it
So this
and
would
see what
then
makes sense.
go back to this project, though. If we were to say, yeah, we love the idea, go back and talk to Canal Corp, is he asking for the same thing that we would be asking for the whole tract of land? So why not just ask for that?
Well, I think there's different timeframes associated with what we're asking and how they would approach it relative to your Eagle Scout project that's very, defined, in and done, and there's a time frame for you to get your Eagle badge. We understand that too. So it may not coincide with our time frame for negotiating and working with Canal Corporation for, frankly, what's a much larger deal
So
than putting in a pollinator project.
So the Canal Corp might just simply move this forward faster.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I
yes,
think they
very
totally
much.
would.
Yeah.
I think they're already on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really where it's
Put in
going.
a good word for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should let them know.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you
really.
so much, all the way down the way, yeah.
Okay, so, yes,
Yeah, I
Zach.
just wanted to, if this does go through, what I would ask from you is to somehow define the area that you're going to be working in, which you're proposing on site, so we can have a look at it.
Yeah,
I'm not
so-
sure what you're.
Why don't you guys stake it out?
Yeah, that's what I was going to recommend, maybe take some stakes and some string, and just kind of put a rough layout for where to be.
Yeah. I mean, part of what they were asking for anyway was just like some more like detailed, more specific, kind of like mapping of like what exactly we want to use. So yeah, I'll be able to, I'll include that as part of what I send them as well.
Great, okay, so, any other thoughts that you wanted to add? Because there's some coordination, obviously, with DPW.
My name's Zach, from DPW, so if this does in fact go through, if Canal Corp gives you the blessing and everything, we'll coordinate a time to meet down there and discuss all aspects of getting the project done. We'll help you out if possible, and we want to see that done too, so.
Awesome, thank you.
It seems to me as though our motion would be more one to request from Zach and Marco just a list of what the resources, time or otherwise, to come back to us.
Yeah, we'll give you all.
And then that would be what we make a motion on, right?
Sure.
The use of village resources to support this project. Or do we just simply not have to do anything and say it looks good?
Well, I mean, we all have said it looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, we would be using some village resources to support something that actually is a positive as part, it certainly addresses our village sustainability initiative and our initiative for pollinators, as Bob said, this is all good stuff. So, while we may be giving some resources to you, the payback's wonderful. It's wonderful for our community, and also for visitors too. Yeah. Sam.
So, once complete, I'm assuming that you would walk away from it, and then nature would then take over from there, or there's gonna be some maintenance involved there?
I'm sure at least for a little while, we'll still provide some maintenance, making sure everything, stays together and watering plants and all that. Just like get it, solidified with the rest of everything, and then, we'll let the nature take its course.
Yeah. I guess the board would have to consider, or assume that part of the maintenance would also fall under the responsibility of DPW.
Yeah, probably for the first year to really establish it, just to make sure it's okay.
But in the end, it's not a bad thing if we're gonna be somehow or someday maybe getting, properties to do stuff.
Yeah.
Which will be-
Yeah, it's sort of a first step, as we were saying, kind of kicking it off.
So then therefore, do we have to make a formal motion to say that we're supporting this through,
Well, he's going to be using
some village
village
resource?
resources.
Oh,
I'm sorry, no.
Yeah, no, this guy, yeah, all right.
And I would say that a way to handle some of your concerns would be to say that you're going to approve the project and give Zach the authority to work out the details for the applicant.
That sounds like a motion.
There, there was one other, another Eagle Scout that is asking for another project along the Canal Corp property, and I believe he did reach out to the Canal Corp. But Canal Corp had requested a maintenance agreement from the village that we would be maintaining it.
Interesting.
Well, we maintain everything.
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's like, oh gee, what a shock that is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not going to be neglected. So,
yeah.
Not sure if that would be something that you would draw up or.
They need an agreement, they don't need a motion, a motion won't
I
handle
would
it.
think the motion would cover it, wouldn't it?
No, that's not my.
No, I would, well,
No,
I
I'm
mean,
just-
well, the reason I asked you the question was because you talked to the Canal Corp.
No, I did not.
Oh,
So
this came through the
Yes,
Scout.
the other Eagle Scout who had talked to the Canal Corp and then relayed that to us.
Well, the motion could say that we undertake to maintain it for the first year until it takes hold, and then the intention is for nature to do its thing.
Sure. So that could be part of the motion? Yes, Steve?
Are they gonna be doing the clearing, or are we gonna be doing the clearing?
So like mostly clearing will be done by myself and some other volunteers that will gather up. The only thing I would have asked for to clear was the rocks, but we can keep those in there, obviously.
For pro rock.
Yeah. Which is, that's totally cool. Because there's really nothing else there that's like too super bulky.
Okay, so there'd be disposal, though, of the brush.
Yep.
So,
I'm assuming that, whatever you guys pull out of there,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to get rid of it somewhere.
Yeah.
So if you left it for us, it's not a big deal for us to haul it out.
and then if there's invasives,
Well, invasives and safety and liability.
yeah,
That's my only concern. If you got a young man in there, the tools,
mhm,
clearing, where do we stand with that?
insurance.
We're not supplying the tools, it's not happening on our property.
Right?
It's on
Yeah,
Canal
Canal
Corp.
Corp.
That's
All
true.
right, I just.
No, Steve, that's a great point.
It is a good point.
Yeah.
There's a whole section in the workbook where he has to cover safety and stuff.
Safety,
like that.
okay.
Yeah, any power tools or any of the chemical like sprays we used to get rid of invasives or whatnot. Now, like there's a few like patches of poison ivy, anything that we used to get rid of will be used by adults that have, that know how to use it properly and not when other.
And we should coordinate that with you and Zach, both of you. That should definitely be coordinated through our staff here.
My initial thought, you're not going to get approval from the Canal Corp in 2 weeks, right? Or do you think you may?
Within 2 weeks, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Not to know.
We have a meeting in 2 weeks. personally think it's a great project, but I would like to know at least the estimate of resources that the village will be provided. And that will also help you if the Canal Corps comes back exactly what, like you've already talked about. If they say, hey, are you going to maintain it, right? That might be separate beyond just simply saying, yeah, we're going to help you out for a first year. So I guess I wouldn't mind waiting a couple weeks to see what happens with the Canal Corps. I think we're all in favor of the project, but maybe before we make the final approval, we understand what the labor or what your expected work and support from the DPW would be.
Yeah, I'll get in contact with them as soon as I can, just so we can get all that. That shouldn't be a problem.
But I mean, other members may feel differently.
I think, Dave, that's an interesting point. I think the other benefit that would have is that this material could be included in the packets. The public is aware of the decisions that we're making. A big part of what we're doing as a board is making sure that the public is informed and is able to think along with us as we're making these decisions. So if we can leave this open and decide in the next meeting, we can include these materials in the packet, have it in front of the public, and then make the decision at that meeting.
That's really cool, yeah.
So Marco, so after you meet with the Canal Corp, just make sure you get us the information like early enough so that we can put it in our packet.
Give it to Dorothea.
Give it to Dorothea, okay?
Here's your contact.
Yeah, as soon as you can get it, as soon as it's available, get it over to us.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Great.
We'll do it.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you guys so
Thank you
much.
very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, we look forward to seeing it.
So Zach, just, work to see what's reasonable, what you think.
Yeah, as soon as I see what the odds there, what we're working with, together.
Yeah, you guys can,
You guys can work it out.
yeah.
All right, great.
Awesome. Yeah, so, if you need to get,
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Thanks, really nice. Okay. Hang on a sec. I think what we'll do just before the public hearing, just because I know it's long days for Steve and also for Zach, if we can just have the reports real quick. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Either we can coordinate a time to be out on site together.
Yeah.
Or if you guys want to do it at one time for time. Just give me an outline.
Okay,
So we can.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
All set, okay, wonderful. We're going to just before we start to open the public hearing, I'm just going to move up your reports, the building inspector report, DPW, and then the treasurer village clerk's report, just because it's long days for everybody, especially with the PGA coming in and everything. So if we could, any questions on the building inspector report? You should all have received.
So should we talk about the tree thing now? I'm going to bring it up in member items, but there was some concerns expressed from residents that there has been some tree removal again that are happening on public property, but the property is like right alongside the sidewalk. So it's not on the street side, but it's on the sidewalk side on public property. So, and I know that we've discussed some things going back and forth through email about whether we have any kind of tree ordinance in our code, and we don't.
No, we read it.
We do. That little paragraph that
That's it.
it's very little.
Yep, that's
But
why,
but it gives us the teeth to control public.
right. And you saw the sample ordinances, you saw the
Yes, I
articles
saw
and
this,
stuff.
right, and
Yeah, I know, we're really.
Yes, I think that we really
Yeah.
should, take a look at the sample ones and make our ordinances a little bit more involved, because we have trees going down left and right in our village, and it's scaring a lot of residents, and I get calls almost every week about a tree coming down.
Where are these trees coming down, Steve?
There was a tree across from
Two.
trustee Cole's house, a large tree, and put it back in the yard. I mean,
Oh, it's on their property.
yes.
Well, it's not back in the yard, it's right along the side, it's on their property, but it's a very large tree, it must have been massive, when you saw both of them.
But
One was
for whatever
removed last
reason,
year, yeah.
I don't know why it was cut down, but, it's 3 foot in their yard, we don't have purview over it.
Right, but I think that we need to look at that and see if. we
Yeah, well,
can
that's
talk
something
about
that we
this.
definitely
Yes.
need to do, because we're also a tree city, and we
Yes,
want to
absolutely.
preserve our canopy
Right,
and protect it,
and it truly changes.
and restore it as
the look.
best we can with natives and proper trees, so.
So I'm going to start to spend some time maybe on looking at some of the other ones that Jeff had showed us, and then maybe we can talk about adopting something a little bit more specific.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'd go for that.
All right.
Yeah, anything else in your report?
Yes. So I'd like to propose a fee schedule change.
Thanks.
You want a copy?
Sure.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't
I don't know what this is.
I don't understand.
We're not understanding it.
What it is, it changes it, so some of their values are, I mean, say somebody has a multiple house unit and a remodeling, I can only charge for one, one thing for that unit, or for that house, and it should be per living unit. Most municipalities do things per unit, you know what I mean? So
So it's
if,
like-
like, say you had a very large project coming into a municipality, you can charge fees based on the number of units in that project versus a single fee for the whole giant.
So what you're saying is the multiple, like, say, 3 apartments in one building, you're only able to
I
charge
can only
once.
charge one
One time.
single for that.
Yeah, but if
for
there's
that
3,
building.
so you want to charge 3 times for 3 different apartments.
Well, because everything
Yeah,
gets
okay.
inspected as a unit. You have to be able to
Yeah.
certify each unit as a separate entity because it's a living space.
And that makes sense.
So all those fees should be per, I mean, you get a large project, I can charge $40 for plumbing. And you could be, I mean, that's the thing, it should be a per unit charge. Like I said, most municipalities do that.
So this here, what you're suggesting is for these items currently, it's on a per building basis.
Per
Rather,
unit, not per building.
you're proposing that these items all change to having the ability to be charged per unit,
Per
whereas
unit,
now
yes.
it's per building.
Yes.
And there's no other change in the fee, there's no other than the simple ability to do it on a per.
No, I mean, you could, everybody has different little things, you could go crazy, but I think this is a fair
This is a
thing.
good first start.
Okay, so we're not changing the fees, we're changing the fee structure.
Correct.
Okay,
I'd make a motion to.
well, hang on, let's have a little discussion going on.
I'm sorry.
Hang on.
I don't mean to jump on top of your comment or motion, but I think this is good. Personally, it sounds like this is a good idea. I would say let's put it on the agenda for the next meeting, would be my proposal, so the public is able to weigh in. I don't see anything against it right now, but I'd prefer not to make decisions without them being on the agenda.
It has an effect on the current world we live in. And there are circumstances that if you wait, you snooze, you lose.
In other words, there's some big projects or things out there.
Could be.
Okay,
Yes.
I don't see a position that I would ever take that would suggest that a certificate of occupancy shouldn't be done on a per unit basis, or a plumbing inspection shouldn't be done on a per unit basis.
Yeah, or fire inspection, safety inspection.
Whatever, all of these should be on a per unit basis. And so as much as I understand, it would be reasonable, I'm going to make a motion to approve the fee changes to shift to a per unit basis for the items as listed in Steve's list, which, just to read them out for the public record, would be residential unit solid fuel appliance, residential unit plumbing inspection, commercial plumbing, commercial solid fuel appliance, residential certificate of occupancy, residential certificate of compliance, commercial certificate of compliance, and fire safety property maintenance inspection.
yeah, and I'm in agreement with you, because this is essentially more of an administrative aspect of how, we're doing our inspections with our fee schedules, so I'm in agreement with that.
Are you seconding motion?
No, you can though.
Okay, I'll second.
Is there further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Lickett,
Abstain.
trustee Coe,
Yes.
trustee Marshall,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye,
motion passes.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's a fair way to go. Yeah. Are there any other questions of Steve regarding his report? Okay. All right, DPW, any questions for Zach?
Zach, I have a question for you. I noticed that you said that you've been carrying painting for the fence behind Burdett's.
It's not painting, that just stays natural.
So what are you doing with that fence? I thought you said you had something that you were
Yeah,
taking
we
care of.
replaced 5 panels.
So is that a village fence?
So it's a shared agreement, maintenance agreement that we have with the town. So the town does the plowing, the striping of the parking lot, paint striping. And we go through, we mow the grass strip that's on the outside of the parking lot and repair the fence.
So that's not owned by the building owner? That's not owned by the
No, it's municipal.
Breathe? That's not owned by Breathe, that parking lot?
It is owned by Breathe. Jeff?
Part of the lease
Yeah.
that we have to do that. There's a lease that we can use the parking lot as public parking. Otherwise, we couldn't use that parking lot as public parking. So in exchange for that use, the town and village has entered into a lease with Breathe Yoga
Got it.
so that
For years.
they plow and stripe and we maintain it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's no longer the Burdette lot either. It's close
No, no.
to
Well, the Weiss is
Breathe.
on it, yeah.
But-
Weiss is on it, yeah.
Okay, that helps, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
And on a different note, just DPW, I know we had the water main break outside the library. There may be a lot of folks asking, hey, is that going to be done or fixed before the PGA, or is it going to be as it is, do you think?
So to repave it is going to be a bit of an issue for the water authority to get, do so because they have to shut the road down completely. They're going to have to repave it from south up to where the crosswalk is, I'm pretty sure, and it's from curb to curb wide. So it's a bigger project. Underneath that asphalt is brick, and then underneath that layer of brick is concrete. So
Sorry, from south to where?
South Street.
To that
the
crosswalk.
bump out at the crosswalk.
The bump out crosswalk. Okay, yep.
I'm just going by what was relayed to me by the DOT engineer, and I might not get everything completely accurate. The water authority attempted to repave it. Traffic was out of control, and it's only going to be getting worse in the coming week and a half, 2 weeks. So they are scheduled to come back in 2 weeks after the PGA event is done to attempt to redo it.
Okay.
So I think, and I have not even gotten down there to really look at it because I've been tied up with training. They might be coming back between now and next week to do some night work to get it up to a point where it's at least safe.
More stable.
Stable,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they fixed it quite quickly. It was-
Yeah, I mean, for them, the water authority to come and do anything that quickly is pretty rare. So, what they did.
So that's cool.
And because the DOT just repaved a section of the road, it's under the scrutiny of the DOT standards, which means the engineers on site making sure that everything is being done to a standard that the DOT would be satisfied with.
So the takeaway is, it's patched for now, they're going to try to stabilize it, and then really do something maybe
Yeah,
after the PGA.
after the PGA,
Okay.
hopefully before pedal.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
I just want to report, because this is something for you, Zach, to hear. I've been looking into the wrapping of the DOT, the box that's on the corner there. So I did place a call to the Pittsburgh Gallery, which is right on the corner.
Yeah.
And we have 3 artists that are potentially interested in
Oh, that's
doing
great.
it.
Oh, thank you.
And I asked them if they would do it pro gratis, and that looks like that's probably going to be the case. So I'm asking them to present a design for us to take a look at, and we'll kind of go from there.
Cool. There is a process to get that permit.
Yeah, I saw that. I was
Okay.
given,
Okay.
because the state needs to wrap it.
Yes, it
Yep.
would be that they would have to get a copy or just to be able to see the graphic
Yeah.
that would be going on there. And so-
All the info is forwarded to
Right.
Lisa, she's on the
Good,
case.
good. And then while these two are here, before they leave, I just want to throw out a couple things from a couple residents have asked. I want to open a discussion, maybe not today, but I want to kind of get your input about a village dog park and what the logistics of that are. That has been something that has been brought to my attention numerous times from a lot of our dog walkers. I know we have a town dog park off of East Street. What is the process of looking into something like that? And is that something that has ever been discussed?
That's on our end.
It's on our,
That's on our end.
Yeah, I would say start with where.
okay.
Yeah,
And go from there.
So that's kind of a discussion we can have.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. You can bring it as an agenda. item.
Okay, and then the other thing is, do you have anything to do with refuge districts? I want to talk about that.
That's
too,
something that the
because-
board,
Okay.
the board
All right.
is working
That's it?
on. Yeah. Yeah, I have a couple comments. A great big public thank you to the DPW for totally sprucing up the village. It looks fabulous. The team's been out there every single day. It's just looking great. Gotten a lot of great feedback, and we're really going to put our best foot forward, I think, for the PGA. So
Yeah.
thank you.
I gotta say that the DOT and their crew and
They have
projects
hustled.
Yeah,
Thanks to them too.
tirelessly to get this
The brick looks
to a showable
Yeah.
place for this event. So
Yeah.
really a lot of a solution to be brought to them as well.
You know, and thanks for bringing that up, because they
Yeah.
really did hustle. They were really, they knew they wanted to get things done, and
And the DPW crew, they've been working their backs off.
Yeah. well, it really shows.
And then Zach, I do want to ask you about the 3 urns, the big urns that we're going to kind of get filled by the garden club. Sue Julian is the one who's going to kind of, so
Ready to
she's,
go?
what's that?
They're ready to go.
Yeah, so how do we coordinate that? Are you talking with Sue,
So
or how
I
does?
believe 2 of the urns are already out.
Okay. I
think the
We're
third
waiting
one's-
for one corner left.
Yeah, the third one's supposed to go out tomorrow, I think, because they finished the pavers.
Yep, so that's gonna be going out at the Phoenix building, right?
Yep, that's the corner right there.
And the concrete was just poured a couple days ago, so we have to wait till they're out of our way. Once it's, cured enough to where we can put the urn on there, we'll put it out there.
I can speak to that. It's actually going on the brick pavers. They finished the pavers. They did pour the concrete. The concrete, they've already sort of cleaned up that whole area, and that's where I was identifying where they have all the cones
Yep.
stacked up that we're hoping, I'd like to have all traces of orange cones and barrels removed, and all the signs, road work, and all of that, really, so,
All right.
and I know we spoke about that, if you can reach out.
Yeah, as soon as the urns are out there.
Then they can
I'll
just
let
come
Sue
and
know.
just put them in?
Yeah, just, they're small pots, all she gotta do is just set them in there.
Yeah.
So do you take care of that? You want me to, how does that work? I mean, I've been emailing
We're
her.
here
back and forth.
until 10 tomorrow morning. I mean, if you want to get them to us, I'm sure you can get them in.
So you get them in, they don't come, so they bring them to you guys, and then you put them in.
Yeah, that's fine too.
I don't know
Why don't
how it
you,
normally
why don't you reach out to Sue and have her coordinate directly with
With Zach.
you tomorrow? Yeah,
Okay.
Again, we're only here till 10.
yeah, they have early hours. Thanks, that's great. Yeah, Justin.
Zach, if you were going to take off, I just wanted to give you a heads up that in member items, I might talk about the Arboretum and specifically the map that we went over before.
Yeah.
So we can follow up later on that too. I just
I'm
wanted to
fine.
give
Are you,
We're
okay,
sticking
do you want to
around,
stay
yeah.
for that? Okay, I wasn't sure, because I know everybody's had long days, long hours. Yes, Steve?
Can I mention an important issue without going into detail
In general terms?
in general terms?
Sure.
I just want to say there was a discussion prior, in a prior meeting about an item that has been, the items that were required by April 15th have now been taken care of.
Oh, that's great.
Great.
Thank you for that
Thank you.
update.
So
Okay.
basically, we would be putting a pause on any further action.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for that. All righty. Okay, we're good with you guys? Okay, if you want to, no, I mean, if you want to stay with the whole thing about the Arboretum, that's
Yeah,
great too.
that's fine.
Okay, why don't we move along, and we have the treasurer's
Talk later.
report?
Before we actually hit the treasurer's report, I have some comments. A post was brought to my attention that was placed on Facebook regarding applications received for board positions. It was saying basically, I'm just going to read it, since it was not certain that the board would get this information if it's just submitted to the village clerk. These applications people put in for board positions have been handled the same under Mayor Plummer as they were handled under Mayor Corby. If I receive them, I give them to the mayor. The mayor, if the person is selected, if I have a resume, I provide to the board. This isn't my choice whether I give it to the board or not. This has been the process. No one has come to me and said, Dorothea, any applications come in for board positions, give it to the whole board. No one has given me that instruction. I'm going to request that this post get taken down because it also gives the connotation that I'm not giving information to the board and other matters. That is not the case. I pass on anything that is for the board to the board all the time. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being drawn into a political thing, and this has to stop. I'm the village clerk. I don't choose political sides. I haven't in past administrations. I don't in this administration, and it needs to stop. I've seen this happening with me. I've seen it happening with Zach and the crew. Frankly, we're tired. I'm tired of it. I am not political. I have said this when I was interviewed. I keep saying it. I don't choose sides. Please keep me out of your posts, because that leaves the public thinking I'm not doing my job. And that is not the case. And if there is a problem with my performance, please bring that to me specifically, not in a public forum.
Dorothea, what was that?
Basically, it was,
Because
since it's not certain that the board will get this information if it's just submitted to the village clerk. Maybe that wasn't the intent, but when it comes across, you read it in the wrong way, the public reads it in a whole different way. It's the connotation.
Sure.
Yes.
I'll just clarify that that was my post, and that was not my intent that you're not doing your job at all. I was just speaking strictly procedurally about whether or not the resumes are always distributed to the board. And from my perspective, that is not clear. And I would like it to be clear, but it was not meant in.
I think you could have done that post
capacity.
without mentioning the village clerk.
But why even put that on in social media? Why are we governing through social media? Let's bring it back, let's talk about that, bring it to
The
the
board
board.
wants to receive.
Pick up the phone, talk to staff. I think there's a better way to go about it, that's all, because I think it can be misconstrued, and I think, that's really what you're hearing. And,
I appreciate your thoughts. We all have our own platforms. I was making a point about the procedure, and we have also spoken about board appointments and what authority the board should have in order to weigh in on these. I think that all of us should be encouraged to speak wherever we are able to do so, and I believe there's a right to do so, and our obligation.
Free speech, I totally get it, but again, I think, I just am concerned things get misconstrued, and this was.
This has happened before.
Yeah.
I get my name thrown out there, and then the
Shouldn't
clerk
be.
comes in and says, you're padding your salary, you're doing this, you've done this and that, and that's nowhere near the truth. I mean, what I'm saying is, I'm here to serve the village. I work for the mayor, I serve the village board. I try to keep the political forum out, because that's not my place. I don't vote, I don't choose, I'm here to work for the board. That's the end of the day. I just don't want any part of that. And when you put me out there, sometimes you think it's okay. A resident comes in, next thing you know, I'm trying to explain, no, I'm following a policy, a procedure that has been in place long before I came.
She takes direction.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you need to clarify, because it makes it sound like I'm just keeping it because that's what I'm doing. And I realized maybe that wasn't what you were intending, but we all know that people don't read things the same way. And, this, maybe it wasn't intended, like I said, that way, but that can be how it's construed. So let's please try to keep the employees out of it as much as you can.
Yeah, you're not
If that
elected.
makes any
You're not-
sense. I don't think this is a big request. I really don't.
And again, I totally respect that, Dorothy, and I understand your frustrations, totally understand. I think it's just the process that some of us
I
are
do.
frustrated by, and I know that process and you are completely individual. You are following the current process, and we totally understand that. So that's why we are moving forward to try to talk about the process more, so that you
You
follow.
want the process
Right,
changed?
exactly.
That's great.
And
That's
that's
fine.
totally-
Talk to the process.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to
Not
do.
necessarily bring the clerk
Yeah.
in, because it
Yeah.
comes across that I'm sitting on these applications, I just don't want you to have them.
No, yeah.
And that's not the truth. I'm just following a procedure that has been in place for many years.
Sure.
It
Okay.
has nothing to do with me.
And Dorothea, correct me if I'm wrong, I did not mention your name, did I?
No, okay.
I said the clerk.
Let me just put it this way. How many people know who the village clerk is?
You're
Yeah.
famous.
In the minutes, I don't even go by Chickarelli, I go by the village clerk. Not that it's my first name, but pretty much I'm the village clerk.
Yeah, it's pretty narrow.
I think everybody knows who that is. If not, I'm introducing myself, Dorothea Chickarelli, I'm your village clerk. I mean, not to be difficult, but please, just keep in mind, it all walks through our door at the end of the day. Okay?
And thank you for, thank you for your input. I thought we were going to be moving a little faster, so, and I know we have a public
Yeah.
hearing, and I know Ross is here.
And I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
No, so can we hit the pause on the rest of your reports
Sure.
for now? Okay, because we do have the public hearing. The first one up is the special permit for 50 State Street, label 7. How are you?
Great, how's everybody else?
Good to see
For what
you.
it's worth, I may be young, I've been coming in and out for a decade, you're doing a great job.
There you go.
I always said you were one.
You're a pleasure to deal with, I love you for that, so keep your head down. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So, nothing new here, just standard what we've dealt with before. Just looking for acoustic approval for outside label 7, a couple times a month. No major speakers or anything like that. 5x5 footprint, if not less. Once, maybe twice a week, maybe twice a month, maybe less, depending on availability, but due diligence to be here.
Ross, where are you gonna put it?
In the corner of the
Like towards
patio.
the building or
Yeah,
out towards
yeah.
the canal?
Building facing the canal.
Building face, okay.
Yeah.
Where the little bar is?
Less.
Where the little bar is?
Outside on the patio.
Yeah.
There's no bar on the patio.
Or the serving, where the.
Yeah.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That little corner,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, any questions for,
I love it.
It's identical to last year, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's sort of an annual thing.
we have nothing to talk about from last year, everybody loves it.
Yeah, we've never,
Okay.
you've never received any complaints that I know of.
Dorothea?
Yes,
Real
Dorothea?
quick, this is a public hearing, you'll have to open it.
Yep, that's right. It sure is. So anybody, any other comments from the board
You have to
before?
open.
But from the board,
Oh.
before we open, that's why, he's up, we're
No.
talking about it, okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion to open the public hearing, is there a second?
I second.
Well,
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item? Is there anybody online? Yes,
Robert, 47 Washington Avenue, I endorse the proposal, I think it's one of the pleasantest places to eat on the same place waterfront, and last year the music was appropriate at an appropriate level, and this just made a wonderful experience for me. Several nights I spent on the terrace. Thank you.
great, thanks for your comment. Anybody else? Anybody online?
We have people online, but no comments.
Okay. Great. I make a motion to close the public hearing.
A second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay,
All right.
is there a motion?
Thank you, guys.
Well, we know.
Almost.
We're almost to approval, Rob.
Nice try.
Yeah.
I have the PGA itch right now.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented, and with, of course, Steve, doing the same sort of review work he always does.
I second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, well, looking forward to
Go for
hearing the
it,
music.
thank you.
Yeah, good luck, good luck.
Yeah,
And I second that, you guys are out there all the time, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
Hang on, we have to waive this, the 45-day approval.
Nope, it's a public hearing.
Public hearing.
Oh, what am I thinking? It's not a special use permit.
Okay.
You're going, wait a minute, oh gosh,
I'm
okay.
learning.
It's not
Now you're kicking me out, I'm going, what for you, okay.
Thank
We're all
you.
good. Go forth and play guitar.
It's not
Okay.
municipal use.
Yeah, it's not, yeah.
Okay.
That's the municipal use, that's what I meant to say. Okay, next up, we have the local law for the parking changes, and this was based on the recommendations by NISTOD after their road work throughout the village. And you see the different, and thanks for going out in the bitter cold and
Oh, it was a blast.
measuring.
Blast,
And,
bad pun.
oh yeah, blast of cold.
Zach, is mine in here?
Should be.
Which one would it be? I'm looking. So it would be adding, right? It would be add. So it should be under the add list. I see Monroe, North Main, State Street. I don't see mine. So I'm looking for South Main Street from Locust.
You got to a point 25 feet south.
Do you see it there?
Yep, South Main, here we
South,
go.
yeah, where is it? You see it? South
Between
Main,
Lincoln Ave, let's see what the.
Between Lincoln and Locust.
it should be Locust, should be add.
No, there's one under remove here.
I don't see it.
It's at the top of.
What's your question?
So my question is, are we going to have a no parking section in front of my house where all those cars come flying out of Locust, and there used to be a no parking sign from the corner of Locust, maybe, I don't know, 30 feet? Sound right?
Maybe that's the thing.
And it's not there, the one, the cone's there now, and
Yeah.
it keeps getting moved, people run it over, they keep moving, they put it in my driveway. Yeah, so that really needs to be
Yeah, I thought
in
it
this
was
list.
25 feet south of Locust.
Yeah, it's not in here.
That was mapped out. Okay, so
What do we do?
there was never any parking? It was only set back, I thought.
Yeah, there was parking to a certain point.
Yes.
There was setback, it was
There
by
was set
line.
back.
Yeah.
So they removed, so there's a removal on South Main between Lincoln and Locust on the west side.
Yeah, that's the other side.
Right, so you're talking,
Right in front of my house.
yep,
When people come out of Locust, they
Yep.
can't see if there's a car, and they didn't, because St. Louis is there. So they'll park way close to the intersection,
Mhm.
and I've seen, there's a crosswalk there.
Mhm.
It's very dangerous for kids that are crossing, you just can't see.
So we talked about moving it further back behind the catch basin,
Yeah, first started back to where
because it was further, it was up.
Second Tree was from the corner.
So this was left out?
Looks like it.
Well, why don't we,
Look at my notes,
okay, Jeff's looking at his notes.
but go ahead, Tom.
No, because it was really, I mean, you were out there.
Well,
And
so
Renee and I, we
the
remember.
situation in front of trustee Coe's place was after,
Was after the mapping,
I did all the other ones.
right.
Um,
Well, why don't we do this? We can,
Without,
we have to,
yeah, I mean,
I've got it.
You have to map it.
you don't have it?
because Lisa raised this issue after this was submitted. See, it goes
Yeah.
to NISTOT, and then we have to bring it back
I
to
thought
court.
it was submitted with,
So why don't we do this?
You think you gave it to me?
I don't think so. I don't know, that's happening. I'm like,
Yeah, that's like 5 years ago,
Sounds sure.
in dog years.
yeah. If not, how hard is it to add it to it?
Can't,
Oh,
No,
no.
we have to,
it's more restrictive.
right.
What is
Well,
this?
this is not the last bell we rung on this.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we haven't even heard back from
We haven't heard back from
the state
NISTOT.
yet on their stance on it, so
I know.
nothing's set in stone at this point.
So should we, what, adjourn the
Well,
hearing?
I
What do we
have
do?
a question though. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Right now, what you're asking for is no parking on the east side of South Main Street.
No, not the whole.
No,
There
no.
there never was parking. When the lines were there, the
Mhm.
lines stopped right exactly where there shouldn't be a car. But then when they removed the lines. of the
Because they were
car-
doing all the paving, they were doing everything.
Now there's no line to stop it, so people just park all the way to the end.
Cones.
So Zach put up a cone, just so people would park there, but, there's gotta be something permanent, either a no parking sign that said no parking from here to there, or, I don't know if you're gonna line the streets again, I don't know how you do it,
So-
but,
I mean,
The reason I'm bringing this up though is what this is saying it's modifying, right, that we're looking at, is section, so we've got 130, or
It's going to be a no
190
parking zone?
195-31,
yeah, no parking.
135-32, and then 135-33,
Mhm.
okay? The comments in 3.3, they just simply remove it, that's the west side, so it doesn't apply. And then there's nothing else about South Main Street referenced in any of the adds and removes.
No, that's what we're saying. That
That's
was
what
my-
what is existing?
That's where I was
Right.
going. So the existing, right
Right.
now, time limit parking, South Main Street, there's comments on the west in terms of time limit parking. That's in 33. In 32, there's nothing with regards to South Main. That's the parking prohibited certain hours. And then parking prohibited at all times. South Main Street, east from State Street to the village line. That's South Street, sorry, South Main Street, here's where we are.
Yeah, where are you?
West. So as of now, there's nothing
There's no restrictions.
in 31 anywhere about the east side of South Main.
Well, I mean, that's simple enough to fix with a white line and a sign put right there.
Yeah, can you do that? I don't care how we do
I
it.
don't see why not.
You mean
I don't think
like
there's
a no
anything
parking
legally,
here, like a no parking from here to there? for
Yeah,
instance?
that's
Oh,
typically what we do.
and we could do that?
We don't need this in DOT to amend our code, because our code doesn't currently not
Hang on, we
comply.
just want to make sure Jeff's on this.
So you can stripe it and sign it. You can't write tickets.
Yeah, we can't, if somebody violates it, we cannot enforce it. The only way we can enforce any of this is to codify it.
Wait, did it go to Albany or did it just get?
No, it's only going to DOT.
Yeah, so the DOT has not responded on it yet, so we can always amend it.
So there's still a window with DOT.
No.
Is there?
You can't just amend it. We can just amend it. We can cancel the public hearing,
Yeah.
amend the statute, re-age it, send it to public hearing.
Then go back to county.
That's what we're going to have to do.
That's
Do it.
what,
If you want to codify it and make
it'd be a
it,
month from next meeting.
make it,
In the meantime, we can still
Let's just-
post it. and
You read my mind.
Okay.
We'll stripe and post, okay,
Yeah.
so we can't write a ticket, but we at least put this
Yes.
back in the
I
hopper.
don't have it anywhere in my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We put
I'll
it-
think through my emails when I
Yeah.
get back.
Yeah, send it,
I mean, it was pretty fast and
probably
furious there.
missed it.
okay, so that sounds good to me. Let's
Yeah.
stripe it, sign
Yeah.
it, and then just bring it back
So you have
again.
another option. You could continue with this public hearing, pass this legislation, and then do a new.
You know, here for just
local law.
For the space?
this space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way we can at least get moving and they can ticket on all the other stuff.
Okay, how do we?
So
That way, if we can get some signage out of them, we're gonna get it.
Yeah,
This stuff.
because there's a time frame, there's a window where they will provide the signage for us and we won't have to pay for it.
Ah,
So, and because they haven't responded, we think we're hoping the window's still open.
maybe,
Yeah,
not guaranteed. I mean, the amount of signage that we're looking at is quite substantial.
yeah,
They're able to do it for us. But we still have signs at our shop. One sign is not going to hurt us.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
yeah,
I'm fine either way. I just want something done there,
yeah.
whatever way we do it.
Now that this crunch for getting everything dialed up when the village is done, we'll be focusing on that kind of stuff. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be that, depending on how you feel about the local law,
Mhm.
if you want this local law passed, then you continue with this hearing, and then we would just draft an identical law to add to that schedule.
At least adopt the rest of it.
If that's what.
Yeah, I mean, that's the option.
That would be the best way to take advantage of if DOT is still willing to give us signs.
Yeah,
Are we still considering doing something with that in front of the florist as well?
I'm sorry?
The parking out in front of the florist.
Yeah, that's an
Being
issue.
obstruction for oncoming traffic
Yeah.
south, as you're turning off Lincoln.
Yeah. And we had talked about
that.
that. We probably should, because that is just really a bear.
Yeah,
And, we had talked about that, because there's no handicapped parking, but it's not accessible even there, but at
Yeah.
least it's a space even if we need it.
yeah, even if it's just marked as that, I don't know
I know,
how,
You're talking about parking handicap spot?
creating a handicap spot,
that's something Mikey suggested.
yeah, that may not be 100% ADA compliant.
I don't think your guy over there sitting next to you can approve it.
I mean, the DOT's approved others.
Yeah, they actually.
Well, actually, it's not our property, Steve. It's not our property.
Yeah,
So
They have-
the DOT would have final say in it, as far as I understand. None of them have shown any interest to fight it.
no, they actually haven't. We've had those discussions.
It'd be good to get something in writing.
Yeah, it would. The other place too, just while we're
Oh,
talking
hold
about,
on.
I'm sorry. No.
I just thought of something.
No, go ahead, you're on a roll.
Hardly. Seems to me if we're approving and
a
Putting in a
substandard
code.
spot, you would be
a
liable.
substandard spot, somebody gets whacked or something happens, then I think
Yeah.
we're going to be at a
For the handicap spot you're talking about.
Yeah.
And why you want to do a handicap spot instead
To
of just
limit the
doing,
amount of vehicles that park in the spot.
can we get rid of the spot altogether?
That's the other
I mean, we're
option.
getting rid of that spot, can we?
There may have to be a discussion with the florist, because that's a big thing for people running in and picking up flowers and running out.
Make it 5-minute parking.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, yeah, that's part of the
There you go.
discussion of what do we do?
Some kind of limitation?
Wouldn't it still be
Like,
a-
not
wouldn't it still be a traffic problem?
If we move the
I
space.
think we try to, that's a bad example. So I think
It's
we
really
try to-
tough there.
Yeah, make nuts.
Have we had accidents there?
I'm sure.
Yes.
We've had fender
I
benders
don't
there.
always get notified of the accidents that happen around here, but it is a pretty bad spot to.
It's a bad spot to turn, but it isn't necessarily a high-speed bad spot to turn.
Yes, it is.
Visually, you can't see.
You can't, see. If
Visually,
you
even
have
you're
a
going
giant,
slow,
if you have an
you're inching out.
SUV, like a big vehicle parked there, because I have a little tiny car, I have
This is
nearly
coming
been
down
flipped
Lincoln.
so many
Yeah, coming
times.
down Lincoln, trying to turn either way,
This is-
right or left off.
This is just a devil's advocate comment, which is sometimes limited visibility, if the way you fix it is to create more visibility, it sometimes can speed up rather than slow down traffic. So I understand not every specific intersection is perfectly safe, but do we want all intersections to be readily able to be, I mean, you want safety, but I don't know.
Well, this is a turn coming off of a small secondary street.
Exactly.
So, no, but I'm saying, so you're not speeding to make the turn, the
Yeah, I would say
speeding is on Main.
Go stand down there during, like, when
Yeah.
Sutherland's letting
Yeah.
out,
Right.
and just watch.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's the other concern too, is there's a crosswalk there.
Yeah.
And there's just, there's between them not being able to see, and then, when you're trying to pull out, you're looking this way, and you got the kids crossing this way, so
True,
it's
but-
just a lot of,
When you fix it, you then create more traffic on it.
well, you're gonna get rid of the visual problem.
But I don't
I
necessarily
don't know
know if
how
I
you
want
create
more
more
traffic on
Same
it.
situation.
How do you create more traffic? I don't think
These
it's creating more
Yes.
traffic.
Same situation in front of my house.
Yeah.
If you get rid of that space, then people will be able to see. I don't really think they're flying down.
So we have a
It's hard to-
resident on Washington who may have some understanding of traffic cutting through Monroe to Washington
Yeah,
to Lincoln.
I
to-
understand.
and-
Yeah, just one second, I would like to just make a comment, if I may, that, by removing a parking spot or pushing it back a little, I'm not sure that it would increase traffic. I don't know how, I don't see that correlation of increasing traffic. Traffic is traffic. The concern is, again, the speed on Main Street.
It's the speed he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's the speed.
Well, let's
know.
fix the speed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The
yeah, you're
intersection.
talking about speed, not traffic.
Fix the
Yeah, it's
speed.
speed.
Yeah, speed.
This is all about speed, not
I think
traffic.
Bob has.
Yep, I see that. I see the hand up. Yes, Bob?
All right, Robert Corby, 7 Washington Avenue. I think one of the issues that you should have a discussion about is the loss of the horizontal lines that delineated the individual parking spaces. Because from a driver's perspective, when you go down South Main Street, and, if it's in the evening when there aren't a lot of parked cars, the parking lane looks like a driving lane, and I've seen people actually cut around left turners to go through that and accelerate to go on. When previously, when the individual parking spaces were marked, it prevented the situation that Lisa has commented at her corner, and there's other places where at driveways, where people are now blocking driveways because there's no delineation of the parking spaces. Also, as far as a traffic calming device, and when we had people like Dan Burden here, they commented on this, that having those lines makes it clear that that area is designated for parking, not a traffic lane. So, you might have consider restoring those individual parking delineations, because it certainly would be an enhancement for traffic calming.
And that's a good point. Why did we get rid of them?
We didn't.
We didn't.
So,
The DOT only does the parallel lines. It was always the village that put the
Oh,
the
that-
delineating
Okay.
parking stall lines in.
So we're
We just
just,
haven't gotten it.
coming on the other
since
side of it,
the
you know.
DOT
Okay.
restricted
Yeah.
the road.
okay,
Great.
But the other issue is the west side of South Main Street, where the line that runs parallel to the curb actually diminishes into the
yes,
curb.
and they made that clear from the get-go.
And their recommendation was to not delineate the
Yeah.
parking spots there because you still wanted to use it as parking, but they had to allow, I don't remember how they phrased it. It would define the parking spots up to a certain point, and then there would be no parking
Because it would be
From that
abundantly
point,
clear that it was
further
unsafe to
south.
park.
Right.
And I think that was taking away from so many parking spots that the board decided it wasn't.
So
And that was non-negotiable with them because the road narrows. That was the issue
Yeah,
with, it narrows going down to Jefferson. So when they drew that line, when when you guys look at that line and when it goes by your house, they drew it almost like a plumb line, to show literally how the road was narrowing.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me. And then they also moved the center line over.
So I would like to revisit, this is maybe not the time to do it, revisit the degree by which we can influence the DOT to get those parking spots back. I've talked to many commercial tenants, property owners, as well residents, and members of the church, right, which is a valuable entity in the community. And they find the absence of that parking to be a challenge. And if we move in the direction that the planning board just did with removing parking requirements for certain businesses or property owners, I think it's imperative that we get this right and have more, not less spots. So maybe not now, but as far as our relationship with the DOT is concerned, I'd like to try to come back to South Main.
so when this was first discussed with them, I think this was the best alternative that both parties, meaning the DOT and the village, could come up with.
They were going to eliminate parking on both sides.
Yeah, they wanted
That was the original.
because it's also considered a bike, a registered.
Yeah, bike lanes for bike lanes and.
So they had to accommodate that as well. They will be coming back, I think they do it every 2 years, with the restriping. And as it exists, they will not budge. But the next time they come through, if we have a plan that conforms to what they have to work with.
It would just be nice to know what lends them to budge at all. And if public outcry is appropriate, that's all kind of why we're here, is to gather these opinions in a way that makes meaningful change to organizations that may not necessarily support what we're advocating. So I certainly noticed that since they've moved those parking, the speeds outside of my house are a lot faster, right? It's less safe for people walking because you're that much closer to the sidewalks, and all things considered, it hurts the traffic. And if we're going to try to start to create some flexibility in downtown proper, you got to have more parking on the main arteries as well as the streets. So I find the striping, and I know we did, when they did the work, we found it problematic. So they didn't budge. So I think the next step is to.
And on-street parking calms traffic.
Yeah, and I don't think though, on the west side of the road, there is a parking restriction. Let me rephrase that. There's a parking restriction when you approach the crosswalk in front of St. Louis, and then that restriction lasts up to a certain point after, south of that crosswalk, and then parking is then again allowed.
Yes.
But it's just not defined.
Right, which is to say that I can park outside my house as needed.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very good.
Right, but it's just, so we don't have that parallel line to define the parking on the west side of the road. We have it on the east side of the road.
Right.
So we can define all the parking spots over there, but it's just the west side of the road that is going to be problematic.
So Zach, are we going to be defining, are we going to go put the stripes back in?
That's up to the board.
Yeah, we can.
I really think that we need those. I agree with Bob. It's, like you said, it gives people spaces, like if somebody parks like crazy and doesn't leave room for somebody else, I mean, I think it helps people to understand where appropriate places are to park. I think it gets rid of that the traffic going through the lanes. I really, how do we go about doing that?
It's interesting, we give direction, but part of the philosophy too, and this was a discussion we also had with NISTOT, that you don't define the spots because of the different sizes of cars. You can't actually fit more cars in if they're smaller, like if you have a Mini or something. But, if there's a safety issue, then we can put them back, that's, clearly we can do that.
So the east side, we have plenty of room to work with.
Yeah.
To keep the standard parking stall sizes. And I think we're limited to 18-foot lengths,
Didn't they change the standard?
and as the shortest length would be 18 foot
Okay.
by 8 foot.
Okay.
Just the west side of the road, the way that the.
Yeah, they're
the
not gonna
parallel
budget
line
that
is
right
the
now.
curb, we can't strike it, doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so we, yeah.
But the east side,
I do want to just bring up one thing that I started to mention earlier. Right where the driveway is between Yotality and where Blades used to be, Mikey James had mentioned that because it's ramped and it's no longer used as a driveway, that could be a possible handicap spot. Because we don't have anything there on Main Street for any,
yeah, no, that's a good one. I mean, there's already a curb cut there, it's just not, again, ADA compliant, so it brings us back into.
well, it's pretty darn
situation.
close.
So is the 4-inch curb that's out in front of the florist, it all depends,
But that's ramped up from the road as a driveway, there's no curbing there.
Right, it doesn't have the 112 pitch.
I know about the pitch, but we also have,
Not compliant.
we're working with what we have. I don't know. Steve, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I know Mikey's brought this up on a number of occasions.
There is some leeway on pitch in the code.
Is there,
Yeah,
how much?
it's under discretion of the authority having jurisdiction.
All right, so what about, I mean, there's a curb ramp out in front of the florist as well.
Right,
It's
you can't
compliant.
put on a curb ramp, no.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's a curb ramp out in front of the florist that would be accessible to a handicap parking spot as well. How does that work?
I have to look at, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I do know the one over near Blades, that one's a flush to the road.
Well, there's a curb cut there, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we gonna put in multiple changes to this, or are we just gonna focus on the one?
Well, maybe just these two.
Well, if you're making any changes, it would behoove you to make all of the
Yeah,
changes
yeah.
at once.
While you're in there, get the gallbladder too.
Yeah, I don't know how long it is. I didn't mean to
No,
create this whole thing, but if we
No.
are going to make
Let's
changes
try
to this,
do it
Yeah,
right.
let's do it.
Yeah,
would be
Well, it's just,
best.
we'll take a look at the spots and see if they're possible to work.
So then do we adopt this and move forward with another one? Or do we
Or do we wait?
rescind this?
That's one of my
Well, we can at
questions.
least get
Do we want
part
to
of it.
table it for now with the intent of doing a sign and a stop and,
Right, until we can get
out
this
front of
moving.
your
Yeah, I think
house, sort
we've
these other
covered
issues
that.
out, and then put it all together as a package change?
okay, excuse me 1 second, there's somebody online?
Yes, there's some comments online. I believe, though, that the board and Zach has spoken to this, but
Okay,
I just want to,
sure.
okay, Art Pierce, 70 State Street. Art, please put your address in there. I hope I had that right. Had a question regarding the pavement restoration associated with Main Street water main break. With consideration of the very high expected volume of traffic from both Monroe County and out-of-state visitors, as well as all the work and cost of the roadway and signal improvements, is there no way the DOT can arrange for night work to be done this coming week in advance of the PGA? Has a request been made directly to the DOT main office for night work by both the village and town? The call to the DOT by both the village mayor and town supervisor.
Thanks, Art. We really have covered that, and there is the possibility of night work and stabilizing it further. Yeah. Anything else?
That's all I have right now.
Okay, all right. So,
So the street lines, is that a separate thing? Can I make a motion to replace the street lines? Can I do that separately than this?
Well.
Would that be a separate
it's up to
thing?
the board. We haven't opened a public hearing.
we still have to open the public hearing then. Or do we want to go forward with this? You know,
I don't think there's anything in here that we have problems.
so we can at least kind of get
Right,
this
but
piece
Zach's
done. Part A,
saying,
we'll do part A, right?
Right.
but Zach's saying, or do we hold this and put everything in? Because there's two other things, right? We're doing the Pittsford florist one?
It seems more complicated.
I think we can go ahead and approve this
Okay.
before us, and then go back, because we have to age everything else out, you know, there's other procedure. So I'll make them,
The
what?
benefit would be that maybe you snag some signs.
To do it now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
okay.
kind of want to put it in the hopper here. I make a motion to open the public hearing. Ooh, again, stereo.
We're all excited.
Okay, roll call, please.
I'm sorry, I missed the stereo. Who had it?
Dave?
Okay, by a nose.
That was quick. All right. Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, is there anybody from the public wishing to speak?
I would think that Mr. Pierce comment should go on the record as part of the public hearing. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll listen to the record.
Okay, is there anybody online? Anything else?
No, we have people online.
But I mean, wishing to speak, that's all I'm saying.
Nothing at this point.
Okay, all righty. Okay, all right. I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Roll call, please.
1 second. Okay, trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, it's back to the board. So we have Part A in front of us.
Motion to approve
As presented?
as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve as presented. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So how will we bring the parking space for our house forward? Who does that? Jeff? That puts together,
No, you tell me what to do and I do it.
Yeah, we will give Jeff direction to work with Zach to do the measurement for that area from Locust Street, heading down to the, well, it has to go to the next intersection, am I correct?
no, just
How do we say?
30 feet,
25 feet. We do
25 feet south of Locust.
25 feet south of, like, yeah, all the, okay, there we
And
go.
and at that time, will we also discuss the Pittsburgh Forest one? Is that going to go in that little?
I would like to take,
more guidance from the board to Zach.
I would like to look actually at the utility driveway for handicap parking. I'd like to put that in as part of the direction.
And any direction for in front of the forest?
I know, I think we should look at that. You do.
Could we pause that element of this and have a wider discussion on parking and how many handicap spots we have, and where they are, why they are where they are? Right, sure, we could go and talk to the forest and talk to Bob Michaels, whoever owns that property, and say, how do you feel about us putting a short-term or a handicap spot to fix some turning challenges? But I think, Mayor, to your point, the real issue is speed, right? And the best way to fix speed is to address parking, which may be to increase spots on the west side of South Main again, to slow down traffic on that main artery. Maybe we can't do that for a few years, but if we have a big plan in place and we figure out how to do all this, I think it makes sense.
Right, but I agree with every single thing you're saying, but I think particularly with handicap spots, we don't have any handicap spots, and this has been something that has been advocated. I know, Steve, you've been a strong advocate for this, and he's recommended this along with our traffic monitor. And that, at least to look at the driveway of utility and talk to the owner of the property and just about facilitating that. I would like to give that direction.
2 spots out in front of the church. Yep.
Yeah, but they're not
No,
compliant.
I just wanted to say
Yeah.
that our handicap spots that do exist.
Yeah, but they're not compliant, and they're not really right in the commercial district.
I suppose along those lines, do you have a sort of a master plan of all parking that either we control or the commercial properties control?
Control as in?
Like,
Designate
to map it
spots.
out, to see like what's our total parking
Yeah,
capacity?
we have.
Going back like 7 years ago or
Yeah.
so, there was an initiative to create a parking map. I had gone through and I took GPS locations of a lot of on-street parking.
Yeah,
Not sure about the parking lots where this is. I'm not sure the end result of that.
I'm just thinking there's a decent amount of understanding that needs to occur to have a good, solid conversation about parking. And if some of the properties are given greater permission to have full lot coverage, excluding parking requirements, plus as we work our way into whatever may occur with redevelopment of major parcels in our community, having a better understanding of this might make sense.
I think that's an important point. I know, Buffalo has lifted parking requirements, I think, for the last 5 years. And what's interesting is not everybody gives up their parking if they have a lot, because they recognize that can also be an asset for their business, so they retain it. So they're seeing that it sort of sorted itself out. I think it's interesting as a model, Yeah, oh yeah, Bob.
I was just going to remind everyone, in the active transportation plan, There is a parking diagram that shows where the parking is in the village with the time restrictions. It's a little out of date now because of some of the changes that just happened. But that would be a good document to do what you've suggested, Dave. And I think previously there had been suggestions about increasing parking on Lincoln Avenue. Right now, there's parking allowed on the north side of Lincoln for church services, but that's close to the business district, and that could be allowed more often. And also, there's the opportunity for reverse diagonal parking in front of the Spiegel Center.
Yeah, that's been discussed for a long time. That's a good point. Yeah, thank you. Yes,
Actually, I think that parking map is on the village website.
it is, I think. Because I thought there was something. Okay, so we can, you know what, can you distribute that? That would be great, because at least it's a starting point for us, even if it's not fully up to date. You know, we can at least start working with that.
Find out who created it as well, so we can get all these changes put.
That predates me, but I will see if I can find
That's
it.
probably the GIS person.
It might be Michelle W. And I thought at one time, you and
Yeah, that's the GPS that I was talking
Coordinates?
about, going around.
Yeah,
But that was mostly on the street, I'm not sure about.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I would like to go back and visit my white stripes. I want to make a motion to have those white stripes put back onto the street parking.
Now, on every.
Well,
street?
where it was before,
Okay.
where they were before, I think, until it's not going to hurt anything. Right now, it's just a free-for-all.
Okay.
And there's just no designation. And like Bob says, people are using that as a passing lane, and it's just crazy.
I mean, usually even if cars aren't parked there, they'll just use it as a passing lane anyway, even if it's striped. I mean,
Not as much.
but I hear where it's going. Yeah, so why don't we,
I'll
I
second
know.
the motion.
Is there a better, I think there's a different description of it outside of white stripes, so I can put it properly.
What do we call it?
Delineated parking stuff.
Delineated
Motion,
parking.
yes, I make a motion for the village to put back the delineated parking spots in the village.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Okay, well, we all.
But people might look and go, white stripes.
What's
I
white
know,
stripes?
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see, we're moving along here. Village Hall infrastructure, what, yes,
Update,
update,
yes,
yes.
coming to.
I know, well, you've been honchoing this with everything going
I
on.
had spoken with Trustee Lightgev, there is some more information that we would like to have in the full report for the board. Some of it I have, some of it I don't have, some is requiring some investigation. But in addition, right now, we've reached out to the contractor that is doing the back part for the fire restoration. He took a look at the front pillars, he's gonna give us a quote. We're hoping that it's just like a cover around the pillar, so we might have good news, but don't.
Might not be structural.
Might not be structural, so
Might
we're
be
knocking on
facing.
wood on that one. We've reached out to someone for the wrought iron and also someone for the tiles on the porch. So I'm hoping to have more information, so I'm going to bring a fuller report to you when we have all that. I
Yeah.
think that would be a better discussion as requested. Okay, so that's just the update, that the update's really coming.
Yeah,
But I know there was concerns with the pillar.
yeah.
On the same topic, so I know that we're trying to understand the funding that we need to maintain buildings like Village Hall. Where do we stand in terms of overall understanding for maintenance of different items? So, roof replacement, any other regular costs that. we
I would
need to
say the
account for?
roof, we're probably, I don't know the longevity of a copper roof, and I think there's people here with them are
Yeah.
even more accurate, but I know the one above me is about 9 years ago, and the front was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So I think we're probably good for 100 years. So,
Which is
Loving the copper.
great. I just want to get all of these different items.
yeah, no, I think that's where I have to go, like
Yeah.
some things predate me, like the air conditioners, my best guess were like 22 to 23 years old. Yeah.
So you're deciding to develop a document. this
So I'm gonna go
is-
through and see if I can find from minutes where main big things have been purchased and see if I can establish a timeline, what needs to be replaced,
And this goes back to the document that you digitized. That's
Correct, I
sent
also
out.
sent out to
Yes.
the board while we were in our break, the report that was done by Barrow in 2001. So that gives you what they reviewed at that time. So we'll try to tie as many of those things into one doc and put a pretty header on it for you. And
Can we have like an Excel spreadsheet that we start for preliminary review at the next meeting or something?
yeah, I was going to go with Excel.
Okay, that would be great.
Always love the spreadsheet.
Yeah, no, I'll look at the key elements because I know we just had, the other person we had out, Allen Electric, who has done the electric since I've been here. He was here with RG&E looking at our electrical concerns and the upgrade of the system, and a lot of our problems might be just because we need to upgrade the system because we're overloaded.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll try to note as many as I know, and I probably will lean on these two because,
And just for the new trustees, we have submitted an application for a grant for funding to update our survey of this building through Preservation New York.
Right.
So we should be hearing, I don't even know when they, we'd have to look up when they notify. I want to say September.
And that would be to have Daryl come out and do a condition report.
Update everything.
Like exactly what we sent you.
Yeah.
So that, and they're the preservation experts, so
Yeah.
they really can come in and give us a good review of where we stand with a lot of our concerns.
So that's the update. Okay, so, you know what, let's see, we're through everything. Do you want to finish your reports, please?
Sure.
Yeah, why don't we get to that?
Okay, so the next thing was the bill pay. Is there any questions or concerns with that?
Any questions on that, or is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the bill pay as presented.
I second.
Okay, trustee Marshall?
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev?
Aye.
Trustee Coe?
Aye.
Mayor Plummer?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, and next is the tax warrant. So for the new trustees, this is something every year. This is something that is advertised in the paper for the residents to understand. This is the warrant. It explains the collection of village taxes. So I just need authorization for the mayor and I to sign the tax warrant.
Approved.
Motion moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes. And then as well here. Letter of, yes, 75 Monroe. This is the letter of credit I have received a request for the board to approve regarding the project. I think probably, can you speak to it more than I can?
I know it was done by Scott. Scott came up with the numbers of what he proposed was required, what would be sufficient.
This has gone back and forth. They gave me, Scott provided the backup that dictated the number that we would receive from CNB. They issued that, but it's up to the board to accept that letter of credit.
To explain this more to me, if you could.
Letter of credit is for any project that isn't done correctly, that we can go in and do the work. It gives us the capability of funds to do the project, or whatever.
If they initially,
Portion.
if they start something and they say, for example, they don't finish it, they walk away.
Yeah, it's for us to be able to go through and take care of, or something happens.
Something happens,
And
exactly.
they don't fix it, say you broke a sidewalk, or, not it's simplistic, but it covers us in case
Right.
there's something that happens.
So what you're seeing are the estimates that our engineer put together, saying these are the cost estimates based.
In talking with Scott, he came up with a number and then bumped it by 30% versus your normal like 10%. He wanted to make sure that there was enough wiggle room in there.
With
The
inflation
applicant-
and everything.
So then the applicant goes to the site and does this work. But if they don't do the work, then this letter of credit
Covers us.
allows us to,
Draw upon it to do the work.
Clean up whatever they did.
and they're putting this money into an escrow?
They they went through, I believe it's CNB with this, and
The bank.
CNB takes the money and takes the deposit, the letter of credit is issued to, I believe. it
So this
might be
is
in my name.
essentially our line of credit at the bank
Uh-huh.
on their goodwill
Mhm.
if they don't do the work.
You got it.
And the bank is basically saying, yeah, you can have this money to do the work.
Right, there's stipulations and
Yeah.
everything we have to go
So it's
through.
our line of credit at a bank for work that they're going to get done, that if they choose not to, we can still get done, and this is the expected cost of that, that our engineer
Correct.
determined, and that the bank was willing to extend to us.
Correct.
But it's not our money that we'd be using, it's their
Their money
money.
that they put in.
And so it's
Their
their
money.
line of credit against the developer, not against
Yes.
us.
Correct.
Okay.
You got
All
it.
makes sense to,
Yeah, and this, most municipalities do this.
yep, I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
No, it just,
Yeah,
it's financial insurance for us.
Will this sort of thing with persistency for this project occur?
Pardon?
I would think
Will
so.
there be persistency of this sort of thing occurring through the
Throughout the
life of this
project?
project?
I'm not quite sure. I don't know, I mean, if you don't touch it, you don't touch it, you know what I mean? I don't know if as it goes that would need to be increased, say if there was, higher cost for the village to remediate something.
I think it would be reviewed to
I
time
was
to
gonna say-
time, and as some things on the letter of credit are completed, because I think we had one before with the underground pipe.
So things fall off.
As they get completed and it's sent, they send us a request to release this amount from the letter of credit.
Okay.
The board would say, yes, we're good with releasing it, it's done, everybody's looked
Got
at it, then we release a portion.
Got it.
But I think it will ebb and flow as needed.
And does this suggest as well that the building permit has been signed?
No,
No,
Separate.
this is separate, this is before the building permit, this is just work that they want to do.
this is, my understanding from you, they're not going to get a building permit unless this is in place.
Okay,
That's one
That's
piece
one
of it.
piece.
One
Yeah, one
piece.
piece.
There's a few items to work out yet, but everything, but in regards to that, I like reassessing, and I know with some of the major solar projects, those things are assessed annually. Same thing, and they go in and say, well, the value of what we thought we needed was X, but, times change, costs change, and we believe there should be a 15% increase on the, yearly on that level.
okay.
That is standard fare for municipalities.
So we would make a motion to agree to the size of the line of credit
That you're,
as sufficient to handle the project as outlined that they need to complete in order to receive a building permit.
yes.
I will make a motion to, sorry.
I don't represent you on this project.
Yeah.
You didn't want to say letter of credit, not line.
Oh, you said line.
Thank you. Letter of credit, yes. The line is ours, the letter is,
Right, as submitted, it says letter of
thank
credit
you,
to your
yes.
company.
This is good. Thanks, Jeff.
I second.
So, yeah,
Okay, we have a motion. and-
motion to approve as presented the letter of credit for the work to be done at the full value of 268,151.
For the Westport
West-
Crossing.
Port
For the
Crossing
Westport
project.
Tickets.
project.
Okay.
Do you need the amount in the motion?
No.
Okay.
Just as
As submitted.
As presented is fine,
So we
okay.
did it again.
Second,
Okay, roll call.
Trustee Coe,
aye.
trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall, Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, the bond payment, this is just simply letting the board know that I went ahead and made our annual bond payment in the amount of $50,000 plus the interest required. In past, I've gotten those payments approved in ahead of time, but I have discovered through classes, changing my role, some things don't require board approval. This is one of them because you, by law, have to make this payment. So, but I do need to let you know I made the payment, so there you go. You're also going to be seeing some changes. I'm working with Brooklyn, some things such as utility bills and things like that have to be paid. You really need to keep your lights on, so we can't stall it. We run in the past where we're paying late on those. We don't want to do that, because we can actually, by law, pay those ahead of time and then just let the board know we paid them. So you're going to see a little change with the bill pay and the way it was outlined today. So we're working on those changes. So that's just letting you know that. The last thing, and I should have added it to the agenda, is the calendar. I sent the board the new calendar, yellow to highlight the changes. I didn't hear any feedback, so either it's beautiful or you hated it, didn't have anything to say. So I just need approval on these dates so I can move forward and change all our calendars on the website.
And then you're going to put this out on the front as well, right?
Yeah, we'll update everything. I don't update anything until the board says it's beautiful.
Gentlemen?
I make a motion to approve the Board of Trustees' new 2023 meeting dates.
Second.
Okay, trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
We have a quorum that passes.
Thank you. And I believe on my list, that's all I have.
Okay, next up, member items.
So I have a member item that I would like to present. Again, I'm not sure the specifics and how to go about doing this, but I would like to take a look at village code. I think that there has been discussion, there's been some talks about how to bring more transparency to the process of appointment of our governing boards. I want to make sure that the language is used correctly, that we are not, or I am not, trying to take away any kind of mayoral appointment privilege that is in the village code or in NICOM. So all I'm trying to do is to just bring a little bit more transparency in the process. The actual appointment will be just as it always has been. It will always be as per the mayor's appointing power. But I just think that the trustees, if we are voting on a slate, I think it's really important for us to know who has come forward, who has been interviewed, and then really just some feedback as to, why this person was chosen over this person. It's not something that has to be done, but it's something that we would like to see done more often. The first code, the 112.1, I'm kind of looking at the preservation piece because that's where I went to first. I think we're going to go to zoning as well. But this is just house cleaning. So if anybody even has looked at this, the 112.1, the Village Preservation Board, or the Village Historic Preservation Board, is not actually written in there. It's still the old name, which is the Architectural Review Board. So it's still the APRB. So that needs to just be cleaned up. And that's an easy one. The chapter shall be known and may be cited as the Village of Pittsburgh Historic Preservation Board, or in parentheses, HPB. So I'm making a motion to just change the name because that's what we're using now.
Yeah, Jeff, maybe you want to speak to that?
If you're going to change a local law, this is really in the nature of a local law.
Yeah.
So it has to be prepared, and it has to age on the trustees' desk for a week. So they have to have it for a week before you can move it to public hearing, and then it has to be moved to public hearing.
So even for the name change?
I'm sorry, yeah.
You can just
anything
change that
anything
first
that's-
one,
yeah.
okay.
So what you could do is, we could direct you to take a look at the changes that are being proposed and bring it back to the board
And I would
for
put
review.
I would put it in the form of a local law.
Yeah,
Okay,
and it does.
I would ship it
sure.
probably to you first to make sure you're okay with it, and then we get it to the whole board, because they can't act on it unless it's been on their desk for a week.
Okay.
And emailing puts it on their desk.
Perfect. All right, so I'll just forward that to you. Great, thank you.
So we don't need to have a majority to support the directive to do that. It's just each individual
I
board
mean,
member.
depends how you want to do it. You could certainly say, no, you're not going to do that, or yes, you are.
I mean, I support that.
It-
I mean, I don't know that we need anything formal. I mean, are we all in agreement that we should give direction to Jeff if this is something we should
To
look at?
update the name specifically?
Well, you have
Well,
other.
there's
So I have the name
and
and I just have the process.
Mhm.
So we can kind of just start there. I mean, I don't think it's hurting to have Jeff take a look at it and then just put something in writing.
Do you want me to comment on my thoughts about the process?
If you do, sure,
Give her feedback, sure.
absolutely.
I mean, I view the proposed process, which I don't really care about. The board should do whatever the board wants to do. I view that as inserting a requirement in the appointment process that is not currently there, according to village law, and I think that makes it, in that sense, a diminution of the mayor's power, and probably would then have to go to referendum, in my opinion.
Jeff, I think I might agree with you on that as far as some of the changes. I was wondering if we could take this in a different direction, though, And what we're specifically looking for is the field of candidates who have applied for the position and their submitted materials. What if I, as a board member, were to just request that periodically? Is that information that I have accessible to me?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Under the current Freedom of
Yeah.
Information laws?
I think you're entitled to that as a trustee.
Yeah, of course you are.
So nothing prohibits us from essentially achieving that objective without changing local laws, if we are to take the initiative and ask for those materials.
Yeah, oh, absolutely with you.
Can I just put something in that might solve all this that leads to your post? If I receive a resume for someone for one of the board positions, as I forward it to the mayor, if the mayor's okay with that change, then I just forward it to the whole board.
And we
Let's just
just,
do
that would
that.
be a policy?
Yeah,
Or-
what would it be?
Do you just make a motion, or that's the way we do it?
That's fine.
What if we, just so that we're all perfectly clear on what we're voting on and what the process is, what if we were to take that and put that into a policy on the next agenda that we could vote on? That the
Okay, you
clerk
wanna-
would forward all of the resumes that they
I mean,
have on board. Is that appropriate?
I want to make sure I understand what you're talking about doing. It's as simple as when a resume comes in for a position, that Dorothea adds on her forwarding email,
The trustees,
the trustees.
That's it?
that's it.
That's the policy.
I don't know what you need a policy for.
I don't know why we.
I think you just
Why don't we
direct me.
just give it as a directive to
Just direct
Dorothea?
me.
Well,
Okay.
you'd want
Let's do
to.
that.
Just direct me.
So the mayor would direct that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, of course.
Then it will happen immediately.
Okay.
Can we also just do this by resolution then, since we've had the discussion? Lisa, would you like to make that motion to?
So is the motion made as a process change? Or
As a
a,
policy?
Yeah, how do we-
What is it? I don't know, we're just forwarding something in an email.
I mean, you could just say that the clerk, the new policy with regard to resumes is that the clerk will forward them not only to the mayor, but the board of trustees.
For, regarding people applying for board positions or something like that, just so the people.
For board
it's clear.
positions.
Okay, what Jeff said.
So this could happen at any time of year though, right? People don't always just wait until there's an opening. People will be submitting all the
Yeah,
time.
no, that's fine. It
That's-
honestly, it doesn't happen that often.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Lisa, do you want to make that motion as suggested by?
Oh, gosh. Council, help me out. So I make a motion to allow Dorothea to, or the village clerk, I don't know her name, to forward any CVs submitted by residents searching for a board position, not only to the mayor, but forward it to the trustees.
There you go, you got it.
I'll second.
Discussion, I would just simply include the cover letter with the CV.
Or anything sent.
Well, Whatever,
The whole doc.
yeah, the document, okay.
Trustee Marshall,
Aye.
trustee Coe,
Aye.
trustee Lightgev,
Aye.
Mayor Plummer,
Aye,
motion passes.
okay.
So then the only other thing is just the name, because
Yeah.
we're using that name. So
I
we
know,
really
we
should clean up
should-
our,
we should clean
yeah,
that
we've
up.
got to clean that name up, because we're using the other name. We're not using the
Yeah.
architectural
And
review
there's
board.
maybe more places in the code.
Yeah, there is.
Probably do it global.
Right here, 112, I wrote them down
Oh, thank
right
you.
here.
Lisa's on the case, she's got them all.
Yeah, so if you want to just, I'll just pass this to you, Jeff.
If that was already listed under the historic preservation board.
I wonder if it's a pending code change that's not updated on E-code yet?
I wonder.
I don't know.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
I think everything's been updated through.
When I was on the code looking for this, it's still APRB.
So I,
I references HPV to everything.
Yeah, so does everyone. That's what I'm saying, we need to clean up the
Yeah, I
code.
No, it
thought
might
they
be-
changed- I thought they changed it a long time ago.
They did change it, but I don't
Sometimes
think
they
they
miss
changed it.
stuff, though.
they changed, I don't know if it,
Sometimes we
I
miss
can't
it.
remember because
Jeff
I know
will
the
look it
name
up.
changed. I don't
It
remember
says
if we
Village
did
of
it.
Pittsford, I'm sorry, Dorothea,
I just don't remember a code change for it, but I could.
cited as the Village of Pittsford Historic and Architectural Preservation.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's all,
On E-code right now, it does reference APRB.
Oh, well, then that's easily changed.
Yeah,
That's a
So do we have to go
comment
through
too.
the whole?
And let's see, I'm looking at 112.4.
112.4 says APRB.
Yeah,
under
APRB as well, that's why I highlighted.
Under E, it also says APRB. Under 112.9E, it says
yeah,
APRB.
that's what you.
All right, give me the list, I'll call general code.
But isn't that right?
No, it's HPV.
No,
Oh, HPV.
We changed the name, I don't even know
There's
how
even a
long.
reference to the APRB in 210-1.
Yeah, that was because the,
Our-
yeah,
Yeah, we never touched it.
yeah.
Okay, any other member?
So I am going to table the discussion or the possible discussion about garbage districts, because I know Lily has a lot to say about that, so I want Lily to be there. And then again, the dog park thing is coming back. Adam Stetzer is really on me to try to see what we can do about some kind of dog park in the village, so. Other than that,
You gotta find a place on village property unless somebody's willing to donate.
Yeah,
yep,
okay,
I
yeah.
did have a couple of things. One, which might be a segue from trustee Coe's last item. We had mentioned in an email the possibility of putting the current board members, appointed board members' terms on the website so that information is accessible to the public. I've gotten lots of questions about who's in what office when it ends, and I have no idea. I never know how to answer those. I'd really like that on the website. If it's something that we'd like to put on the next agenda, we can do that too, but specifically, if I'd like to know when the term runs and if they're a carryover or if it's a regular term.
that's great. And plus that might stimulate people to see, oh, so they're going to be turning off, maybe they'll apply.
Yeah, what is, I'm wondering, I don't know, I mean, is there anything with other?
We've never had that information on, it's always been a sheet that the clerk has kept and give to the mayor, usually in February for her to review
Yeah.
or him to review to make whatever changes or reappointments.
Are there other municipalities doing that? I mean, I don't know.
I'm not familiar with it, I would say it's not
We can
done, I haven't
research it.
seen, I can research it. How would the board want to see it, just a general term doc or under?
Well, would it be under?
I would say next to their name.
What about under, there's a little name and bio?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We
Yeah,
want to know what
see it right
each
there.
name-
Yeah.
Term ends, you just say
Yeah.
term ends, comma, appointed,
Right,
like have two terms. One is continuation and the other could be full term,
yeah,
right? So
Something
term
simple.
ends, continuation. or
Next to their
term
name.
Can you
ends.
ask around with other municipalities?
I
what they're
can
doing?
ask the
You know,
other
'cause they're
municipalities how they're
having
doing it
something.
and take a look and
Yeah.
get back to the board and see what we
Okay.
can do to update it.
Yeah.
The other thing is there's also, just to make sure we're looking at just the board members, because there's my appointments and that, do you want that
I
on
think
there?
it's
or
our
just-
board members.
I think it's just our board members, because then this gives people, the public an idea of who's going to be terming off, and maybe they'd be interested. If they see that somebody's not terming off for 3 years, they're going to, well, I'm not going to go and apply
No, that's
that.
fine, I
So I
can
think it's important.
take a look at it and make a recommendation of how it should appear on them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you,
agenda
Justin.
item for next time, I guess we can
Yeah.
follow up.
And it's very possible that nobody else is doing it.
Yeah.
And maybe in advance of our next meeting in a couple weeks, just send that document out, like where are we now, for us internally.
I'm going to say next meeting's going to be an issue, and
That's a whole other thing.
I try to schedule my vacations around meetings, and the board changed the dates. So Dorothea's on vacation all next week.
Yep.
That's normally when I start putting the packet together, and then the Monday I send everything out. Yeah, our meeting's on Tuesday, and I'm not here. So I started during break putting a tentative agenda together. So this is going to be tough. I'm not even sure what you're,
Well, we'll get
We'll
on.
try to keep it light for you.
Yeah, we'll get on what we can get on.
Yeah.
we'll get on.
We understand.
None of this is
Again, this
Dorothea
is,
has enough vacation time to
Yes.
take vacation for 4 years.
We could put the word Airbnb on the next agenda,
Oh,
and we could talk about it for 45 minutes just fine. And do nothing at the end.
I think I'm extending my vacation another week.
Are you staying at an Airbnb?
I'm just saying there's conversations to be had.
There is conversations to be had.
And
I
we'll
just want to,
stay.
the board let you know.
Yeah.
And again, really, to be honest, if I don't have anything for the packet, somebody submits an agenda item, because it's requested, I put it on, but if I don't get any backup to it, I don't have anything. So
So far, we have, what do we have, Copper Leaf, there's a
we
permit.
have a non-municipal for
Yeah.
Copper Leaf, we have GPI possibly coming back, we have
If we get
green
the-
infrastructure possibly coming back,
Depending.
and And I think that's all I have at the moment.
So let's put Justin's on there.
Yep.
Can we put discussion about dog park, and can we put discussion about refuge districts?
Yes, I think the previous board wanted to have a workshop on the refuge.
I think so.
Oh,
That's-
okay.
That's
Maybe
where we were going.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't hear that.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine, that's great.
So if, given all the calendars, I'll send out a thing, everybody want to look in June to see if they have any
Yes.
availability.
And I think
Perfect.
Lily wanted to wait on the refuse district, so now's the time because snowbirds are coming back. And I know that was a
Yeah,
concern.
okay, great.
Okay,
So I did have one other
Yeah.
item as well I wanted to touch on. We kind of started out talking about things in the outskirts of the Arboretum, and I'd like to circle
Hey,
back to that
Justin,
one.
can I
Yes,
jump in and beat a dead horse?
sure.
I'm confused about the code thing.
Okay.
The HPV.
Okay.
How do you know exactly what our current code is? Because my code has the same issues that Lisa pointed out.
oh, well, then it was never changed. Then a local law was never changed.
Well, I don't know, is mine up to date? Because I'm,
You
It's a
you should
78%.
have the most current up to date. We had the books reprinted when we did the big zoning rule
Yeah.
change. So whatever's in those books,
the HPV wasn't changed.
then the HPV, when the name was changed, and I'm really drawing on very few memory cells at this time. I remember being on vacation, coming back, and the name changed. But I'm not sure if a local law was done to change it. I don't recall a local law changing globally the name in the book.
I don't know either, but
And that might be what we need to do.
will the board that I prepare a local law making these changes?
The name changes.
Yeah, we have to
That's
make,
what I
yeah, the
meant.
name changes, yeah, we have to,
If that's not-
reuse
Well,
it.
how about we, Dorothy and I'll nail it down,
Mhm.
and if a local law is required, I'll draft it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sorry, Justin.
Oh, no worries. So I just wanted to circle back to the Arboretum. This is a discussion that we've had for a long time. And I think the first order of business is making sure that the boundary of the dedication is consistent and correct, and that we all agree on what it is, particularly as the DPW property is delineated from the part that's set aside for the Arboretum. So I've had some discussions several months ago with Scott Harder, the village engineer, as well as Zach in the DPW. And the problem that we're facing is that the originally dedicated amount, which is 10 acres, also included, at that time, the comprehensive plan map was referenced, which included a parcel that extended past the village parcel into portions owned by RG&E, as well as the Canal Corporation. So when we take what reasonably looks like it could be Arboretum, we're left with about 9.5 acres. And this is the map that I previously shared with Zach, as well as Scott, and our attorney too. And what I would like to do, so we can move ahead with some Arboretum initiatives, is to put this again in front of the board and the public and our different municipal employees, to make sure that everybody is on the same page, that this is the parcel that should be set aside as the Arboretum. If needed from there, we can go to Scott to have this formalized. This is just my own digital work. But I just wanted to get this in front of the board and everybody so we could get that discussion going. Does anybody have any questions about this? And perhaps we can put this in the packet at some point too. This part that's hashed here is Canal Corporation property, and part of that includes the DPW parking lot. So we do have to work that out with the Canal Corporation. There was some discussion about a trail that goes from the towpath up to the Arboretum that way on village property. But essentially, this is what we're looking at, and I would just put this out there so we can begin the discussion, maybe to carry over to the next meeting. Any other questions or comments? Jeff?
So we ran all this by Wade Beltramo, who came to the conclusion that he thought it was an incomplete dedication. So, which I think is good news, because it gives this board the option of exactly laying out how it wants this Arboretum to be in relation to the DPW, And then, once that's fixed, then we'll do an exact description of each parcel. I don't think we'll subdivide it, but we'll certainly allocate according to that exact description.
Can you talk more about an incomplete dedication?
Yeah.
So we
Everything in the-
understand what that means. I've never heard that.
Okay.
I had not either.
Okay.
I think what it really means, practically speaking, is there is an intention of this board to dedicate 10-ish acres of the DPW parcel, and it would be a complete dedication once a description is adopted for the Arboretum and the DPW, obviously.
I just wanted to follow up on that a little bit. I did also review these emails from Mr. Beltramo, and I think that his legal advice is great. I think everyone is in agreement that the next step is to formalize this and make sure that everybody's clear about what the boundary is, so I think that is a good thing. I think that if we really wanted to get more into that legal opinion, it's not just that the dedication was made of 10 acres, but it was also based on reference to a map. And so I think that, to me, it's not as clear that it's an incomplete dedication, if that were really pushed through the courts legally, which I don't think it's going to be at any point. So I don't necessarily share that same opinion, and I'm not sure if Mr. Beltramo were part of more of the conversation and saw the whole discussion on that, he would come to the same conclusion. But I think that ultimately we're all in agreement that we want to be more formal and more clear about what the boundary is. So
I think his word incomplete dedication meant that while there was an intention to dedicate, it does require a meets and bounds. That's what his email says. Without a meets and bounds description, it's not a complete dedication. So
You were literally identifying very specifically the area, just as, for example, when Scott Harder did the survey and came up with the actual meets and bounds all the way.
So it was just a line.
Right. That's helpful for me to understand that. Yes, Seth?
Yeah, so does that work in favor? Because if it was including lands that are not owned by the village, for room for adjustment.
Flexibility.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good thing, right? The flexibility is there.
In my judgment, it's there.
Has it been defined exactly what the DPW needs?
I think that's what Trustee Lightly was talking about on that map, is that came out of a session with Scott, the engineer, Zach, and Trustee Lightly. So, whether that needs one more session to refine, I don't know. I don't know where they are.
I don't know. I'm okay with this. I think right now I'd like to hear the public's input and anyone else who wants to weigh in. But this is just my suggestion for a step forward.
So are we going to put this on the next agenda for more discussion, or how do we move? How do we move forward?
Can we circle back, though, just real quick? Because you guys, you met with Zach and Scott. I mean, I'm wondering if we should also circle back with Scott to make sure things are all closed out.
I
And
think that a more in-depth discussion about this with all parties, including Scott, should be had before.
And then bring it back, report back, because I think the information from Wade Beltramo and the idea of actually defining, formalizing these boundaries with meets and bounds, I think that's what Scott Harder does, and I think he could really give valuable input, when you guys get together, just to make sure you're all on the same page.
And then also looking towards the future, rather than just where we're at right now.
Yeah.
If I may, looking towards the future, is there any way that this board could give direction to Jeff or whoever to ask the Canal Authority how we might acquire the parcel that interjects itself quite apparently on this particular parcel? Because if you look to the very left, for example, the town lot has a very clear diagonal that comes up just on the other side of the path. and then we get this big inserted jutting area,
Mhm.
and then it goes away again. And if we could acquire that lot to connect that line in a straighter fashion, it might allow for greater flexibility and long-term planning.
Yeah, Zach?
If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've looked at the map, Justin. We're looking at the land both east and west of the DPW, correct?
It's that right there, huh?
Yeah, so, yeah, it's not just the lands that were the back of the building on the parking lot.
You could extend it to the right there, but my guess is the reason why that private development circles around that is because they weren't able to build on it because it was Canal Corp. So sure, might we acquire it? That might be nice, it might create some beautification opportunities, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I just
Bob?
wanted to suggest that, when we did the Erie Canal Park in phases along Shane Place, that's all Canal Corporation land, and we've got a long-term lease for that, which would be a good model for doing the same thing over next to the Arboretum and the DPW.
Yeah, that's what we're talking with Canal Corporation
Got a
about.
lease.
Yeah, we're looking at
Lease,
lease
not
or
purchase.
possibly, either way, we're just looking at all the options. Yeah, thank you, it's a great
Yeah,
idea.
it's something where we have the
Yeah.
authority to do what,
Mhm.
generally speaking, should be done, and have use of the space that may be beneficial in, again, these long-term plans for both the Arboretum and the DPW.
And again, if we're going to approach this with the Canal Corp, it should be as, rather than piecemeal, then, looking at the complete properties that we want.
Yeah, I think we're all talking the same thing.
Right. So how do we start that process?
I think you already did.
Yes. I think I mentioned that earlier in the meeting,
Oh,
that I've reached out to Canal Corporation about this very matter.
To lease that lot?
Yes, to
Land.
lease or purchase or
Whatever.
what can we do? This is the need that we have.
Right.
Yeah,
Any
so,
feedback yet?
no, not yet, but we're working on it. A lot of moving parts, a lot of different things going on. Yes, Jeff?
So clarification, what we have on Shane Place right now is a permit. They do 3 levels. They do a permit, they do a lease, and they do a purchase. So I think you explored all 3, I believe, because
Well, I asked about the lease and possible purchase.
we were thinking that we had stuff there.
Yeah,
Mhm. But we operate on a lease on Shane Place?
permit.
I'm sorry, permit. And that permit is persistent so long as the use is consistent, or how?
It's actually terminable at will,
Yeah,
30 days on.
it's like tenants at will.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so
It's been
that's why
however many
Jeff
years-
and I were
it's been
saying
however many
lease
years now,
or,
and it hasn't happened, so.
Right.
but that's why when Jeff and I were talking about it, that's why we
They
thought
want somebody
lease.
to maintain it.
Lease
Yeah, that's where we're going. Yes.
So should we put the Arboretum, I know you wanted to get it on an agenda, can we do it in June to allow her?
So you guys can circle back together and then put it on for the first one
I
in
think you'd
June?
have to get together next week, and that's going to be.
Yeah, there's no way I won't be able to make the second meeting this
Yeah,
month.
okay.
I'd like to do this sooner. In fact, I don't really need to, I would just like to hear from Scott and Zach, since our last discussion was that they were essentially okay with this allocation. I want to hear if there are objections to that. If not, I would just put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Again, I won't be here for that meeting.
Well, you've got the map in front of you.
I mean, providing that we can get together and meet ahead of time.
Yeah, I think it's important that all 3 of you get together, because that's.
I mean, all we're doing here
the
is,
direction.
sorry, my apology, all we're doing here is defining boundaries.
Right, defining boundaries, right?
That's right, and I think that, whether or not somebody is here, I think that you can express an opinion, write it down. So everybody's got the map at this point. I'd like to have it on the agenda for the next meeting. Let's all talk by then, and raise any objections that we have. I really don't think that this is, I want to voice a respectful disagreement that it's not a complete dedication. I mean, I'm looking here at the Parkland Alienation Handbook. It can be a formal dedication, or it can be an implied dedication. And there's actually a lot of wiggle room. It doesn't say that you have to have met some bounds. So I think that, we've actually got something fairly substantial already in place. We're not walking back from nothing to have dedicated land. We've all got a very good idea of where this stands, and I want to move forward with it.
Would it be possible for the whole board to see Wade Beltramo's?
I'm going to send it to you.
Oh, you guys saw it, okay, so
But I'll
I didn't
resend
know
it.
if the whole board. but-
No, I sent it to everybody.
Okay, I just didn't know that they.
No, that's all right, I'll resend it.
Okay, yeah, if you could resend, just so everybody can take a look. Yeah, Steve?
Why wouldn't you want the canal authority issues cleared up before you put this out on the table to define those lines? I don't understand it at all. There's no rush in this. I would think you'd want to vet out the whole canal thing and decide whether that parking lot or that spot is all usable by DPW and legal before you make some defined lines and make sure you have all the space you want and know. Right now, you're parking on somebody else's property. And I would think you'd want to vet that canal issue out before you, in the spirit of transparency and making sure everybody gets everything out there. To me, it makes sense to make sure the canal issue with the land as theirs is taken care of before you define the rest of the space.
Well, I'll circle back on them. I mean, I just reached out to them, but I know, the people that I'm reaching out to, they've been traveling. So, I'm trying my best. I mean, we're working on it,
Yeah, I think that, Steve, I appreciate your opinion there. I guess that's part of why we're asking for input on the map. If we think that there's a possibility that we won't get that, does this give us some room to expand? That was the intent behind the original dedication, that there is some room for expansion of the DPW. And I think that that's in the plan. If it's not, we should talk about it. I do think there's some urgency because we have a park that should be available to us. And as far as I can see, there's not a reason to unreasonably delay any plans that we have, including things like making trails.
Well, it's not available to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just to be clear, everything's available back
Yeah,
there. I mean,
It's not closed, but what we're looking to do is possibly make a trail up through the western portion of the Arboretum. And I think that we want some clarity on the.
but we can't do that until we sort out the canal land. I mean, we can't put a trail through their land.
We can start working on some other trails and.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that, but I'm just saying, I think that's a good point, that what if, all of a sudden, the boundaries are all, the meets and bounds are there, and then Canal Corporation says, no, we want the land back. And what happens to DPW? I mean, I think it would be prudent to make sure we have a
we
little
should
more
probably
information.
figure something out with parking as well.
It's
If we're gonna officially open it up and start creating more trails, that's gonna invite more people down there. We need parking.
Because I know you've been concerned about moving your equipment.
And I mean, as it is right now with the nice weather, we're seeing a massive uptick in the amount of foot traffic and dogs and kids on bicycles coming through our park.
You have expressed over and over again the safety issues,
It's a myth.
heavy equipment moving in and out of that DPW garage, and little kids or people with dogs, so I understand that very much, yeah. Yes, Bob?
That's why this western trail would be such an amenity, because it would provide a direct connection from the towpath trail.
Totally agree.
And would bypass.
Totally agree, I think that's a wonderful idea, and it's on canal property partially, so
And I would also-
we have to sort it.
I would also add that, the town of Pittsburgh has had the Carpenter Park across the street uses canal land, Great Embankment Park uses canal land. They just put in the kayak launching the handicap site on canal land. So there must be a template of the town, which is, I'm sure.
I think we're gonna have a good
up and
outcome.
down there, and
Yeah.
there's no chance that the canal is going to require that land back. Lastly, because Justin was kind enough to allow me to come in on his memorandum, the Friends of the Arboretum would like to schedule our first work party for the season on Thursday, June 1st at 2 p.m. We want to continue with the mugwort clearing that we almost finished last fall. I'd like to reiterate some of the requests that we brought to you several times before, because it will help us.
Excuse me, just one quick second, because we're doing member items. Do you want to switch over to, keep going? I just want to make sure,
I'm fine with.
Okay, great, okay, let her rip.
Catch the Arboretum altogether. There's 3 previous requests that we've made that I want to reiterate them tonight because it will help us to be more efficient in our work. One is there's still one gravel pile left at the edge of the meadow in the southeast corner that we were hoping we could get that removed so we can go in there and remove more of the invasives. Secondly, we would, the mulch piles, we're hoping to get those moved so we could investigate a trail option that would bypass the DPW driveway and address the safety issues that were discussed a year ago. What was the third thing? I'm forgetting now.
$6,000.
Oh, also, we wondered what the schedule is for the Atlantis removal, because that will affect the priorities that we make for our work parties this year and where we do the work in the Arboretum. We want to obviously maximize the use of our volunteers in ways that will help move the project along. Another discussion point that we wanted to engage with you was the 2 areas of Japanese knotweed. Nothing was done last year, so it's spreading again. Is that something we can partner with? We have labor that if you get plastic and bales, we'd be happy to lay them down to spread them around to try to camp that area out. And, if you are thinking of the dog park or the Arboretum as a location for the dog park, the area where the knotweed is would be the logical place to put it, because you could put a surface down and probably start it while we're still trying to get rid of the knotweed. I also wanted to point out there's 2 small areas of Atlantis along the canal. One of them is it's between the Spall Office Park and the West Shore Bridge. And the other one is actually close to where the Scout was proposing his pollinator project. And those are areas that, we might be able to assist you if you get some of that Atlantis out. But I wanted to make you aware of that. So there's one other thing I'm forgetting. Yeah, we know that there was money that was given to the village for signage. I think there's only one of our temporary signs has survived the winter. And we wondered if there's any money available for permanent signs. I think that will help let people know that this property is available for enjoyment. We are pleased to see that lots of people are walking through there, and the amount of traffic has increased exponentially.
Thank you. Can you follow up on any money that's left for the?
Yeah, there's the donated money.
Whatever the donated money was.
$400 or $500 in the fund.
Okay, so there's some.
Sitting in an account.
If you guys want to take a look at signage, and we can, coordinate with Dorothy.
We can do some research and then
Sure.
come up with a proposal.
Yeah, I just want to say, I met with Jim Wick, I guess it was a while ago, a month ago, and it was the last time I think that he was here with you, Bob, and you were going to give us the sheet of all the things that you wanted, send that in, and I guess we didn't receive it. But what I did when I met with Jim, we talked about the invasives removal, and I gave him the contact. I had reached out to the PRISM people and gave him the contact information and said, please get in touch and call, because they can help us all put together the program. And I never heard back from him whether that happened. So that's a piece, because PRISM is willing to help us establish an invasives removal program and work with you guys.
We'll get in touch with
So,
them.
yeah, and Jim has all the info.
And that's on our agenda.
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
that.
He has all the, okay, because
And
that's.
thank you for sharing that.
They're really wonderful to work with. They've done really, really good
That's a
stuff.
great connection.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, Dorothea.
Did you want to mention that we set aside ARPA funds for invasive removal?
Yeah,
The
no,
village?
that's part of it. Yeah, exactly.
And we need the information
Yeah.
so we can start the quotes and.
That's why, if we get with PRISM, they can help design the program, we can put it together, get someone in to do it, and we have the funding.
We'll reach out to them.
Thank you. Okay, and just, get back with Dorothea so she's in, we're in the loop on this end, so we can coordinate it. Okay, that's great.
Can we just circle back on the gravel pile that was mentioned? Zach, are you aware of where that is and what would be involved in moving that?
Just us having time to be able to clear it out.
And the other thing I forgot.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, it's very quick. The mugwort, we made piles of mugwort last fall that we were hoping to get removed over the winter. Those are still there. We were hoping to get those removed from the Arboretum.
Yeah, now that we're caught up with trying to get everything pretty around for the events, we'll have time to start focusing back in on our Next week should be a good time for us to be able to get in there and start thinking some of those.
That'd be great, thank you.
Yeah, anything you guys would need for weed control, we're gonna go back in every once in a while with our mower and keep that weed rate down. But I don't know if you plan on doing mulch or anything like that.
Yeah, we probably will try to mulch around the trees and address that, maybe with cardboard discs, because that seems to work.
Okay, we still have a good supply of cardboard. If you want to know when you can be in back there, we can leave it out for you guys to be able to use it, which you'll have much more.
That'd be great, thank you very much.
Yeah, the great place for cardboard is the bicycle shop, and also book culture.
And the dairy.
Yeah, the dairy, that's true, too, yeah, good point. When you're removing the mugwort, so all of that has been solarized, what's happened with that?
We stacked it in piles, we pulled it and stacked it in piles.
Okay, because we can't just, we've got to, Steve, do you want to speak to that about?
No, we can't dump it anywhere, no.
We can't, we have to solarize it. Yeah, we're going to have to tarp it maybe, I'm thinking.
What if you put it on the, above where the Japanese knotweed is?
Here's your cousin.
There you go.
I know. Yeah, because, I mean, we really need to solarize it because we can't dump it legally, it's an invasive. Yeah, so Steve, maybe we'll circle back on that about how we need to treat that. Yeah, because we can't take it to the town mulch pile, which a lot of people do. Yeah.
Can we get the tarp and bales too? That you guys were talking about to cover the.
Yeah, we'd like to help you with the knotweed and then get rid of it.
I mean, do we have tarp and bales lying around that we can just say, that sounds good? No?
But we have the funds for removal, so we can purchase and set that up.
Should be plenty of money set aside.
Yeah, we have that set up, so that can be part of the.
We're willing to help you with the labor if you can
Yeah.
get materials to us.
Okay.
I mean, we need to get those black tarps that, it has to solarize, it has to be completely without.
Give me by June, within June, we'll get all the materials.
We'll coordinate.
Okay.
Yep, great, very wonderful.
Yeah, DPW is a little stretched right now.
No, we understand.
I know. It's a little-
The village looks great though, Zach. Thanks.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does.
I'm just saying, once we have solid numbers,
Yeah.
if we need those numbers, I can come to the board and ask for the use of the ARPA funds towards the invasives.
Right,
Okay, so.
so let's pull together like the tarps, the bales, whatever prison thinks they're gonna need, for the Atlantis, that's gonna be a big thing, but they know what they're doing, so.
You can even use that stone pile back there, it's actually for the that.
Sure.
So if we want to leave that back there for now.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also, okay, anything else?
No, thank you
Okay.
for helping to take care of all that.
Okay,
We're excited to have a good season ahead.
I did have one question, and then I'm done,
okay.
which is the Airbnb, a long time ago, we talked about a committee and all these other
Yep.
things. Where are we on that? I have
Good night,
no-
everyone.
We're circling back on that, good night, thank you.
Good night.
We just literally, thanks, Jim.
Welcome back.
Oh,
Snowbird.
that's right, you're the snowbird.
Snowbird, look at her.
Just back from Naples. Yeah, so we just have to set up another date, I want to bring back
We want to
people that want to be on this, well, no, it's people, God, I'm so tired. It was left, I've received information that I'll pass along to the board. I have dropped the ball a bit, we've been a little busy with a few things, for people who want to be appointed to the steering committee. And so what we had come up with, what Lily had come up with, which I thought was great, it was some business owners, property owners, people who own B&Bs, two people. I'll have to go back and look, but it's already set up. Lily had a great model, residents, and I'm missing somebody else.
But we don't have people in those places yet.
No, not yet. So,
Sorry.
go ahead, Jeff.
We have the places available. We have a committee established.
Yeah, the committee's
Yes,
established, we haven't appointed anybody to the committee.
Right.
To the committee.
right.
Correct,
That's
we're
where we-
still in the.
Yeah. And we haven't thought of,
Recruiting.
Lily's been away.
Before we appoint people to the committee, is it possible for us to still have a opinion on the composition of the committee relative to the different slots for commercial?
Or is that all done?
Airbnb?
I think it's
I think it's done.
But we can do it again, right?
Well, that was set up, that was
It's all done.
It's all done.
I mean, yeah, you could do it again.
You can modify anything. All right, so I guess all I would ask is I've not seen that. Could
Why
I
don't we
see
send
that?
out what
Yes.
Dorothea will send that out, because I
That'd be
thought
great.
Lily came up with a really
And
good
it
model.
won't be until
That's okay.
probably.
Yeah,
That's
but,
okay.
you know,
I
we're
just
moving it
don't know where we are.
Yeah.
It'd be great to see
Yeah.
where we are.
We're moving it forward.
Okay.
Yes, Steve?
I just wanted to let you know, I probably get 1 to 2 questions a week about that.
Yes, I know.
Pro and con,
And things
probably.
are moving fast.
Pro and con, right?
Things are moving fast in the
Yeah.
village.
Anybody who's buying or looking to buy, they're asking a question.
Yeah,
100%.
And I'll tell you, as I walk the village, which you know I do at least 3 times a day, I see some beautiful renovations that are happening in our village. And it makes me think that there are people that are doing the Airbnbs because they're really good.
There are some.
They're beautiful, but it makes me see a lot of
If we have
stuff
somebody
happening.
already has one in the village and they look to purchase another property,
Mhm.
it's the same thing.
Yeah, you can tell whose properties are.
and you know, the other thing we should do, we had done research and sent out information of other codes that were already
Yes.
enacted. One was down in downstate that I found that was really good, I thought.
Yeah,
It really,
yeah.
because it was for a community very similar to ours.
I have to
It
dig.
was like Croton on Hudson or way down in Hudson, but it was really good.
Well, that should go to the committee.
You know what, Jeff, you and I were bouncing some codes back and forth, some that had been written, I think, a while back. Maybe we'll take, because we should send that back out to you guys.
Yeah.
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 Steve's like, on his way out.
I know. Okay, so he had his question.
I probably have.
Okay, we'll circle back on that, because you guys, let's bring you all up
we
to
need
speed.
We need to start moving. Things are moving, we gotta move.
If I could just finish my thought. I'd like to finish my thought. Thank you. We're going to pull together the material that we already had worked on, and we're going to send it out to the board, so everybody is back up to speed. I make a motion to adjourn.
Wait.
What?
Executive session.
Oh, we need an executive session. Very quick, though.
We'll tell you that every day that goes by, you're grandfathering in more newbies.
Now, do we have to? Do we have to grandfather in?
No, you don't have to. But
It's,
you're going, I mean,
Nope.
you figure out how you want to. do
yeah,
it.
that's something to be thinking about for another time.
From a policy.
Okay, I make a motion, we go into an executive session for the purpose of an employee matter. What's the code, 105? Something,
Just say
for employee matter. Yes, what, your hands up.
I'm sorry.
She's just so used to it.
Oh, I don't
Just
know.
wanted
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Mayor Palmer.
Aye,
Motion carries.
we're all a little punchy.
It's
Please
really
pause
nice.
everything, thank you. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to close the executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call. Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Palmer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'll make a motion that we hire Alexandria Torres Vaughn for $25 an hour as deputy clerk upon her acceptance of the offer.
A second?
Roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Lightgev.
Aye.
Mayor Palmer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, again,
That was good.
mysterious. Roll
Trustee
call.
Lightgev.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Mayor Palmer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Can I just ask you, is the rate of her, that offer, is that
Public
public?
pause, please.
Okay, so it's public?
I can end. We're done.